All right. I appear to be live. Can anybody see and or hear me? All right, I can see right now there's quite a bit of lag. So you're gonna have to deal with a bit of input lag from me, clearly. I've never used YouTube Stream before, so this is a little weird for me. But hopefully you can hear me. Right now it seems the stream status is good. That's better than before. And I hope the volume is alright. Right now the main issue is that the chat is very small. So I'm gonna be doing a little thing here. Whoops. Isn't there like... There is no way to alter how big your letters are. Of course there isn't. So I'm just gonna zoom right the fuck in. So my tired eyes can read what you're saying. Hey everybody! Oh hey, thank you! That's very generous. Right, we'll get started in a sec. All I have is like a small list of questions I got. And no other plans. So we're just gonna start with that. And then we'll basically just see where the conversation leads us and see what happens, you know? Alright. Let me just be absolutely sure I have everything. Drink. Always good. Stay hydrated. Maybe I'll need my headset, so let me just grab that. Wherever the hell I put it. Here it is. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that was West Coast Emerald Bull who bought a super chat, by the way. I should say people's names. I've never done this before. Bear with me. Either way, hello guys. Welcome. We're doing this for the first time, trying a bit of YouTube streaming. It's kind of strange, but I'm doing this because we reached 5,000 subscribers. And West Coast Emerald Bull is being very generous right now. Another super chat. Thank you. And it took a while to get to 5,000, but here we are, and I'm very happy about it. So, before we do anything else, let me just say that I announced this stream a week ago. And all I really did was plan for having a short Q&A. So I've written some questions down I've gotten from you guys, and you're of course free to write more in the chat, but I'm going to start with the ones that I got from the YouTube comments, and then we'll just see where things take us from there. Right, I don't really have any big thank you intro. I've already said everything I wanted to say in the announcement video for this stream. I'm very flattered that you're showing up for this. That's really cool. It's actually very cool. I'm not even joking. Alright, so let's just... Hello! So let's just go right to it. Some of you sent me more than one. So why don't we start with West Coast Emerald Bull, who has already been very generous in the super chat. You've sent me 3 actually. I'm going to try and alternate. What are your thoughts on Marvel doing a Young Avengers cartoon? I don't actually know if that's a thing that's happening or if it's in the works. I don't know why you're asking me why I'm that relevant for that kind of question. I haven't read an awful lot of... What the heck? Kenneth? That's incredible. Sorry, I got another super chat. I'm trying to learn what all this means right now. I'm really strange about it. Anyway, the question. The question was, should Marvel do a Young Avengers cartoon? Or what are your thoughts on Marvel doing a Young Avengers cartoon? Basically, I haven't read an awful lot of the comics with the Young Avengers. If anyone is unfamiliar, it's a team of teenage superheroes that have powers very similar to those of the main Avengers, but are their own characters. So, I'll definitely say that I would love seeing it for a couple of reasons. One, Kate Bishop. I fucking love Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. She is hilarious and she's awesome, and I want to see her in animated or live action form really badly. I'm not paying too close attention to the chat right now. I'm sticking with the first questions. And second, I want to watch all the man babies cry once Hulkling and Wiccan kiss. If that ever happens. There seems to still be quite a bit of stigma on male homosexuality in cartoons. While it's slowly getting better. It's definitely getting better. But it seems to me like women still get away with showing homosexual or bisexual tendencies more in cartoons, unfortunately. But yeah, I would absolutely love seeing that. Young Avengers, yeah, I'm not that familiar, but I could stand to see it if Marvel step up their game with their cartoons, because most of the ones they've made in the last few years haven't been that good. Not from what I remember anyway. I think the last one I really liked was Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which was in like 2010 to 12 or something. And keep in mind, there's a bit of lag, so I'm reading your messages a little later than you're sending them. But yeah, definitely. Young Avengers, that would be fun. I'd definitely watch that. Plus, it's always nice to get shows and comics with characters you're not that familiar with. I actually, often when I have some time to kill at the library in Copenhagen, I'll go and look at their comics, and I'll usually always grab some that star characters that I'm not too familiar with, because it's fun. It's fun to read about some superpowers I haven't already read 50 stories about, you know? Alright, so that was the first one from West Coast Emerald Bull. Very interesting one. I don't know why my opinion is so important on that. I guess because it's my stream, I guess. Then let's take, who's this? Cheyenne Nelson. Who are some of your favorite DeviantArt artists? Oh boy. See, full disclosure here, I'm not very good at using art sites to find other artists. I don't search, really. I just kind of stumble across things. So I don't really have that many on there that I'm a fan of exactly. But let me go and check out my favorites and see if there are any names that pop up a lot. Hold on. I'm just gonna have to browse my own. Yes, okay. One that I would definitely recommend anyone check out is Chad Rocco. C-H-A-D Rocco, R-O-C-C-O, I think it is. I'm pretty sure Chad Rocco is the same dude who used to do videos. I don't know if he still does them. I haven't checked in ages. Is the same dude who used to do these videos over on Channel Awesome called... What were they called? They were called Familiar Faces, where he like talked about obscure cartoon characters that nobody else talked about. I love those shows. I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. And he draws some awesome cartoon fan art, so I really like him. Who else have I noticed that I keep? Sorry, like I said, I'm not that good at keeping an eye on DeviantArt and remembering who I'm actually a big fan of. There is this artist called Mareeps, who has a really, really cool style. And actually does a surprising amount of Cuphead fan art, which is not quite 1930s style. It has enough of their own style. I don't know anything about Mareep. I don't know who they are. And a lot of it is really, really fun and really, really good. And just delightful, really. I've always been a bit of a fan of Bleed Man. You know, the person who does those weird Cartoon Network crossover comics with Billy and Mandy, the Powerpuff Girls and stuff. I haven't actually read those comics in years and years. I have no idea if they're any good. But they are very, very stylish and very, very gorgeous to look at. So those are three I can name off the top of my head without like going through all my favorites and picking something. Sorry, I'm not that good at it. This is going away from my script for a moment here. I see Billy Mount is asking, what are your opinions on Nostalgia Critic? Okay, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? He inspired a lot of people. He's a trailblazer. He's basically what created the review genre online outside of gaming, you know? And I know there was that whole change the channel deal last year. I didn't pay the closest of attention to it. I haven't watched Doug stuff in a while. Every now and then I'll check in and maybe watch 1 or 2 videos that sound interesting, but I'm mostly sticking with top 10s because sometimes he does surprise me with that and gives me one I didn't expect, which I like in top 10s. I've actually in my own top 10 sometimes moved things around because I didn't want to be predictable more than because that was my actual opinion, which is bullshit. I shouldn't do that. I don't know, man. I think some bad shit went down. I don't think all of it is his fault, but I definitely think that it went down and things have gone downhill. I wouldn't know. I'm not paying close enough attention. But I was very inspired by him. The main reason I started doing videos at all was just to see if I could do something similar, but with something I liked, instead of specifically the nostalgia stuff. So, yeah, definitely. It's like that. I don't know what else to say, man. Doug made a lot of good stuff, and then shit went down, as it tends to do. Let's see. We're still sticking with the script, and then I'll probably scroll back a bit and see what people are saying, because you guys are going wild in the chat, and I can't pay attention to both right now. Excuse me if I'm getting the pronunciation on this wrong. Matt Keskivari? Matt Keskivari, I think, asked in the comments to the preview video, if you could meet any person from the movie industry, actor, director, etc., who would it be? Shit, man. That's a really, really interesting question, actually. Well, there's a lot, and I've actually been lucky enough to meet some of the people I really want to meet. I'm still high off, and you would know if you paid attention to my channel for a while, but meeting Lloyd Kaufman, that was definitely a big deal, because Lloyd might not be the biggest household name out there, but the dude is so cool. Reading his books was what made me do my first short. I know I haven't made a short film in years because various things, some of them having to do with my own confidence, but it was actually reading his books that made me think like, okay, let's at least give it a shot. And I have his autograph on 3 books and 2 Toxic Avenger DVDs, and he was basically one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Like, when I interviewed him, I was like, in Denmark, we don't really use the same titles and politeness things that you do in the US. So nobody calls each other Mr. anymore or addresses anybody by last name. As long as you're being polite, using a title doesn't really matter. But I remember I sat around, and yes, I did hear Lloyd is going to be in the Cinema Snob movie, and it's awesome. But I was sitting where I got to interview him, because I know he arrived for the Bloody Weekend Horror Film Festival many years ago by now. It wasn't like 2014. And I know the people that arranged that somewhat, and I was writing for a film site at the time, so I kind of worked that angle a bit. And I remember sitting there and being like, okay, let's remember, he's from the US, there's a bit more of a standard to politeness there, so I was actually sitting there and practicing like, hello, Mr. Kaufman, it's nice to meet you. Hello, Mr. Kaufman, it's nice to meet you. And then I heard him in the hall, and he was just chatting up it was in like this small theater, and he was chatting to some actors that had a theater play going there the same day. And he was just joking up a storm, first and foremost. But I actually stood up and got ready to shake hands with him and say, hello, Mr. Kaufman. And the first thing he did was just say, fuck that shit, call me Lloyd. And then we were rolling. Like, that was awesome. Love that guy. No, that was great. He was a total champ through the whole thing. And I've also had the fortune just this year of meeting some other people I really admire, like Mick Garris, who created the Masters of Horror TV series and has done a bunch of Stephen King films. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met. Robert Englund, I got lucky enough to meet Robert Englund earlier this year and actually have a signed poster of his on my wall right now. And that was incredible. Again, that was a friend of mine who works for one of our biggest film sites in Denmark. And we found out that he was attending Sci-Fi World in Göteborg back in February. And we managed to land an interview with the guy. And he just kind of dragged me along for fun. I was basically getting a free ride there. Well, I paid for the con and so forth. But we got to meet him for half an hour. And almost exactly the same thing as with Lloyd happened, by the way. We spent half the drive going like, okay, England is like 70 years old or something. He's been he goes to cons all the time. He has to deal with nerds and fans like us all the time. It's the day before the con. He might have jet lag. We should be very, very considerate of his time. Like, again, let's be polite. Let's not geek out. Let's not do any of that stuff. So we sit in the lobby at the hotel he's at and we wait for a while. And then he just kind of shows up on his own and is just standing in the lobby looking around. Like, not even accompanied by anyone. And then the guy who arranges the thing came and waved us over. And we walk up, and before I can as much as say hello to the guy, he looks at the Gremlins t-shirt I'm wearing and is like, "Oh, I love that! They were filming that right next to Elm Street. That's great!" And then we went upstairs and interviewed him for like half an hour. That guy is a storyteller, by the way. He cannot shut up once you ask him a question. Holy crap. That was... I think we just asked about when he realized he had become famous. And he went on this 8-minute tirade about a trip to Italy or something. It was crazy. The dude was awesome. So, and some of you have probably seen this picture on Facebook, but of course we couldn't help it. After the interview, we asked him, as fans, do you mind if we take pictures with you? And he was super cool with it. So my friend gets up, they put an arm around each other, like real buddy-like. It's like, yeah, awesome. And that's my turn. And he just steps over, looks at me. I'm like a head and a half taller than the guy. He just looks up and is like, "You're a big fella. Get behind me and strangle me. It'll be funny." So there is a picture of me strangling Robert Englund. I like to consider it my revenge for Freddy's Dead. Which I did do a video about many years ago, actually. So that's 3 I've met. There's a couple more. There's a couple Danish directors I've had the opportunity of meeting. I met Gunnar Hansen when he was still alive at a metal festival. I have his autograph on a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I have met Ruggero Deodato, who made Cannibal Holocaust. How tall am I? 6'6". Yeah, it's crazy. Who else? There's someone else that I can't recall. I've met Brian Usna, who has produced a bunch of Stuart Gordon's films. I interviewed him too. He was much more of a businessman. Like, he really talked about the money side of things and production. But yeah, that was really cool. But the question I was asked, now I'm being like Robert, I'm rambling forever. The question I was asked, if I could meet anyone of my choice, who would it be? That's a tough one, man. There's a bunch. John Carpenter, obviously, because I love his work. I don't think he'd have the patience to deal with me, though. I love that. And actually, I've been thinking about it for the last day or two, and I'm thinking James Gunn. Other than maybe Scooby-Doo, which I believe he was hired for, I have not seen anything James Gunn has worked on that I didn't really, really like. I just feel like he and I share a bunch of aesthetic and writing ideas and concepts and preferences. And I would love it. I would absolutely love to meet James Gunn. Now, who the hell else could I think of? Probably... who was I thinking of? I forget their name now. Simon Pegg, actually. Simon Pegg is supposedly very, very cool. And I love his work too, obviously. I don't know, man. There's so many that I would be stoked, absolutely stoked to meet. So it's a little difficult. But yeah, that's 2 I can think of right off the bat. A lot of the guys I'd love to meet are dead, so that doesn't really help, you know. But yeah, I think we're definitely somewhere. Samuel L. Jackson, of course, because he's one of the most awesome people who was ever on screen for anything. So hold on, let me just mark which ones I've actually responded to. Holy crap! So I don't forget. Right, okay. Here is one that was just inevitable. Again, all of these are from the comments when I announced this stream, so I haven't read any of your new questions yet, sorry. Repeat them after we're done with this if you want. ITCMBD, I think that's it. No, I haven't watched Brightburn yet, I really want to, but I think he only produced that one. ITCMBD asks, do you miss doing horrible horror? Oh boy, that was an inevitable one, and the blunt answer is no. No, not at all. I'm very flattered that the people who have stuck with me for so long still like those, because I don't. I really don't like them. They're awkward. They're not well written. They're terribly edited. They're not funny most of the time. And there are moments in them where I feel like, okay, something is starting to work. There are a few hints. There are a few hints of someone who knows what he's doing somewhere down the line, but they really make me cringe now, honestly. And when I made the Freddy versus Jason video, and I decided to bring Horrible Horror back for a moment, that wasn't because I missed the show. That was because I realized that I never gave that show a proper ending. It just fizzed out. It just stopped being fun. Like I explained in that video, in character. Like, it just got boring for me to only talk about one thing. And it got very, very awkward to try and find excuses to talk about other things. Like, one of the main reasons I made that childhood scares thing was so I could talk about a couple of cartoons for once. So it just wasn't fun anymore. And then I thought it would be really, really fun to bring him back, since we were doing a versus movie anyway. So it resulted in a lot of back and forth, and that video, man, let's imagine I got really popular 2 days from now, and like I just get a bunch of subscribers in the next few days. Let's imagine I just elevated to 50,000 in a week. That video, nobody is gonna understand what the hell is up with that one. Honestly, like, I've probably alienated a bunch of new people with that alone, but what can you do? I thought it was funny, and I wanted to give the series proper closure. But no, I don't really miss it. Not at all. I guess one thing I miss is having a character, but I like being me. I like sharing my stuff and exaggerating a little bit. I will say, not a question I've gotten, but another thing I can say about that, I do have one Horrible Horror episode I still think is actually pretty good. And that's the Killer Eye. And it's just the one where I feel like there's the best balance between critique and review. It's where the jokes land the best. I managed to take some tired old jokes and step them up a notch, which is a thing I like to do sometimes when something is a little too easy. And the movie itself is just so goddamn bizarre that it wrote itself, basically. So that one I still actually kind of like. I thought that was good. I was rewatching them a while back. For some reason, I think I was doing like a little montage or something. That might actually have been way back when I did the Jason versus Freddy video. Yeah. That would be it. I think that one is good. And there's probably a moment or two in some of the other videos. I remember Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 having a joke I was really proud of here and there, but Killer Eye is the only one where it point to and say, that's actually how good I could be at the time. But, yeah, no. I don't miss it. Not even a little. But I did think it was appropriate to give it proper closure for those that did. It was basically my way of saying thank you to everyone for liking it back then. But, it ain't coming back. Never ever. Sorry. Okay, West Coast Emerald Bull again. Because you wrote like 3 comments on that initial video. So I better read yours. Let's see here. As a Dane, do you think How to Train Your Dragon and Frozen had good portrayals of Scandinavian culture and fantasy? No. Not even close, man. Look, those movies, they're bullshit fairy tale versions of something vaguely Scandinavian. Like, that's it. Oh, hey, John is here. Bender Waffles, hi. Yeah, I know you did it first. Fuck off, man. I'm answering questions here. You ass. Go make some more speed developments. Thank you. Yeah. We're just razzing each other here. No, but the question was, do I think How to Train Your Dragon and Frozen represents Danish folklore well? No! They're not even trying, man. Like, Frozen is very, very loosely based on The Ice Queen by H.C. Andersen. But it uses pretty much nothing other than the fact that there is a woman who can make ice. That's it. The rest of it has nothing to do with that story. And How to Train Your Dragon, man, Scandinavian dragons of myths aren't that plentiful or varied. They're basically just big serpents. So yeah, no. It's bullshit fantasy. It's just vaguely Scandinavian for the sake of the setting, to make it fun, and it's awesome. I like both of those movies quite a bit, actually. I do enjoy both Frozen and How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen the third one of those yet, but I will soon. I will soon. But yeah, no, Frozen is like, the original is like, a kid gets an icicle stuck in his heart and it makes him gradually lose emotion, which will force him to live with the Ice Queen, and his sister has to save him. Like, it has nothing to do with a Disney movie. Nothing. But then, that's true of most of their cultural movies. And you know, as long as they're telling good stories and trying to do some justice to the setting, just a little bit. And there is that one scene in Frozen where they meet the Norwegian shop owner. I have not yet met a Scandinavian who didn't laugh at that shit. So, there's that. But no. Definitely not even remotely accurate or anything like that. It doesn't need to be, honestly. Then we're back to Cheyenne Nelson again. Who are your favorite Disney characters? What the fuck? Who are your favorite Disney characters? What, like out of all of them? I don't think you realize how much shit Disney has made. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna stick within the movies then, because that is impossible to answer. Jesus. Megara. Megara's up there. And if you don't remember her, she's the love interest from Hercules. Because I don't dislike Hercules as much as a lot of people do now. I know it's not very accurate to the myth, but I've never seen that as the important part of a Disney movie. But please stop spamming the same question there in the chat, by the way. But with Megara, that movie must have come out when I was like 8 or 9. So at that time, I was noticing the trends in Disney movies. I was starting to sniff out the formula of the princess movies, and I was getting tired of it. Because I was a real boy's boy at the time. It was like, I loved all the action, all the funny shit, and the second any romance happened, I was like, ugh, rolling my eyes and looking away, you know? Like a little kid. But in Hercules, and Jasmine was more sassy before her, but Megara had so much personality. She didn't swoon immediately. She kind of thought he was a bit of a tool at first, and I found that incredibly endearing. So, definitely her. She's up there. And this one is going to surprise a lot of people, actually, but in recent years, as I've been rewatching a few Disney movies, one of my favorite characters in any Disney film, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, it's Georgette from Oliver and Company. You know, the poodle? The prissy poodle? She is hilarious. I love that character. Imagine having a fragment of that lady's confidence. She is so goddamn funny. Getting Bette Midler to sing her song called Perfect isn't easy, and she's strutting around, getting ready for the day, doing this big Broadway number just to get her fucking breakfast? Like, I generally consider that movie very underrated. It's not a very strong story. It's a little awkwardly paced and such, but the characters in that movie are so funny. And Georgette is a big, big favorite. I love her. She's so funny. Definitely a big favorite. Somebody just mentioned Atlantis. Yeah, definitely pretty much the entire crew in Atlantis too. I still quote Cookie's food pyramid sometimes at people. And my dad and I watched almost every Disney movie as they came out, and we still go watch animated movies today, family animated movies together if we can. And we quote those back and forth at each other, and I just made a bridge. It took me about 10 seconds. That is one of the most repeated ones. Atlantis is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Who the hell else? There are so many. I don't know, man. Even just sticking to the movies, that's a lot. So, I'm gonna go with Megara and Georgette for now. Yeah, I think I will. Alright, what do we have left? We actually have 2 left, but one of them I kind of don't want to answer. That's from West Coast Emerald Bull again, and the question is, most overrated cartoon or anime. I don't like saying something is overrated. Everyone is entitled to enjoy what they want. If something is popular, it's usually popular for a reason, man. it usually touches something in a lot of people. It doesn't mean that there are some mindless masses out there. It just means that it managed to strike a chord. And I don't want to shit on things for that. I might not always get it. I might not always like the thing that's popular, but I don't want to take something and just say that's so overrated. I don't like it much. I don't like that. No, I really would rather not. So I'm skipping that for now. And that leaves us with one of the original questions. And I see some of you are adding me in the chat, and I will read those in a sec. But one last question from Salas, Callas. And this is going to be a complicated one. How long does it usually take to make a video? I have absolutely no earthly clue. I've never like used a stopwatch and kept track of how long it takes. And it's incredibly varied depending on what I'm doing. Cause like you'd be surprised at what takes a while to do sometimes. Cause I thought when I did comics, when I did comic videos about PK or Usagi Yojimbo, I thought those would be really easy because it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about clips. I don't have to worry about finding the right clip within a 2-hour movie and trimming it down or anything. I can just like make pictures move and that'll be it. And it took for fucking ever. I had to individually save each page as a JPEG, and then I had to read every story again and pick out relevant panels for what I'm saying. And sometimes I'd have to go back and grab another story just to have something that relates to what I'm saying. Because I'm always trying to let the clips I'm showing relate to what I'm actually saying. Not just in narration. Also when I'm just ranting, I always try to make what is on screen fit the thing I'm discussing at the moment. So that actually took a lot of time to do that. And the same with PK. Because there was like 60 issues of comics I had to reread. Or at least skim through to remember what was what. So yeah, that was that took a while. And video games, when I do video game videos, those are a bitch. Because it's one thing to take a movie, because that's like a finite length. That takes like an hour to 2 hours. Usually. Not to make the video, but to watch it. So that's how much footage you have, and that's how much you have to scrub through to find the relevant clips. But if you're if you're doing a video game, you potentially have up to 12. You can have so many hours of footage, and you have to while playing write down when interesting shit happens, or you'll be completely lost. Just the most recent one, Muppet Party Cruise. That's a party game. A lot of the time, there's not much more going on screen than people walking around, and there was still like 4 hours of footage. So holy crap, that was a lot to do, man. And I think way back with Army of Darkness, Fistful of Boomstick, I think it was like 7 hours. I locked out with Aladdin. I beat that in about an hour, but man, yeah, that is. But let's say that we grab a random movie. Let's say I actually have. Let's use this as an example. I have here the Rugrats movie. I think the first one. I've never actually cared much for Rugrats or. Whoops, sorry. We don't need that. That was an update. Fuck you, Norton. There we go. But, let's say we're doing this. I haven't actually watched Rugrats or anything, really, with them. I was never a big fan. But let's look at the back here. That's 77 minutes of a cartoon. So I'm gonna walk you through the process. I pick the thing I want to review, either because it looks hilarious, and I don't know anything about it, or because I remember it, or it can relate to something that's being released lately. I'm like, okay, let's check this out. So I pop it in, and I open a notepad, just a completely normal notepad on my PC. Oh, I have the movie of why do I have this if I never watched Rugrats? Some friends of my parents had a box full of old VHS tapes, and I like to dig through them and grab obscure stuff. I might watch this one of these days. Because Danish dubs of cartoons are almost impossible to come by on DVD and Blu-ray and stuff, so I grabbed them for fun. But anyway, the process of making a video is I watch the movie and take notes meanwhile. I'm actually writing time codes for when certain things and certain lines happen, so when I'm editing, I can be like, wait, when was that? Oh, right, that was 20 minutes in. Stuff like that. And this is where the first few jokes start to form themselves. This is where I write my first snarky comments as things happen. Like, this is a stupid line. Why did he do that? There's a boom mic in the shot. All that stuff. And once that's done, once I have like a full document, that makes the movie take about twice as much time as it does just to watch it, by the way, if not more, depending on how much I write. Once that's done, I go to the script stage. And this can take a whole day, because I'm just going from A to C in my notes and just sort of writing. And a lot of the writing is just recapping what happens in the movie and trying to do it in funny ways here and there, so it's not completely static, and then getting to the joke parts. And the jokes, or the rants, go through a lot of rewrites, even as I'm recording later, to make them flow better, since this is not my first language, and sometimes I write a line I can barely say. And just to make it punchier, remove a punchline that wasn't as funny as I thought it was the first time. This is a Danish dub tape, I'm being asked. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat while I'm answering this. Once everything is written, what I usually do is I do the audio parts first. I open Audacity, I get my mic out, and I just do my line readings. And that can take a while too. For a 20-minute video, it probably takes about an hour to an hour and a half to do that part. Because, I'm flopping lines, I'm cutting it down, I'm removing dead air, stuff like that. Oh, see you later, John. Let's work together again sometime. Thank you for stopping by. So I'm doing all my line readings. That takes about an hour, hour and a half usually, and then I have to export it. And then, actually, I usually edit all the audio and narration parts first. So that's just done. And that takes however long it takes. If I have like a skit or some effects jokes in there, that takes a while to do. Once that's done is usually when I start doing the video stuff. And that usually only takes a couple of hours. Because normally I'm just in my couch. And I'm talking to the camera and I'm doing my silly shit. So that usually only takes about an hour to do. Now, sometimes I do a little bit more of a skit, and that takes a lot more work. I'm only one guy. I don't have anyone to hold the camera for me. So I'm doing a lot of running back and forth to make it look right, as well as I can. And then once that's done, I line it all up, I sync it all up, and then I cut that into bits, the best takes, and then I put that in where appropriate in the video. And then I have to make the credits, which I've made a template for to make it go a little faster, but it still takes about an hour. So you can probably guess by now that every video is a couple of full work days, if not more. It's actually kind of exhausting, but I don't have a specific time frame for how long one takes. If we assume just the editing process alone takes a full 8-hour workday, and it usually takes more than that, we're still at the very least somewhere in the 15-hour range. So yeah, that is how long it takes. Which is almost as long as it took to answer that question. Hey, you asked, man. That's what you get. But that actually leaves us done with the questions I got from the comments on the video, which now leaves you guys. And I'm gonna have to scroll back a bit. Oh, Brandon, sure, man. It was just a small line. That didn't take long, so you're welcome. Alright, I'm scrolling back a bit to see. There are 2 of you that added me directly, so let's go for that. Sound Waves Production with 3 Z's. What are you? What was my favorite Creepshow 1 story? Oh shit, I have to think back. There's the... What's the first one in Creep? The first one is Father's Day. The second one is The Lonely Death of George D. Merrill, I think. Where he finds the meteor and it has that legendary meteor shit line. The third one... Oh yeah, that's the... Okay, Creepshow, for those unfamiliar somehow, if you know me, is a horror anthology movie with stories written by King, directed by, I believe it's Romero. I can't actually remember off the top of my head right now. And it's just fucking madness. And 5 stories, and the third one is probably my favorite, closely followed by the 5th. The third one is the one with Leslie Nielsen, where he like kills people by burying them in the sand at the beach and waiting for the tide to roll in, and he puts a camera in front of them so he can record it. Because that story is just insane. It's so sadistic, and then it gets so campy, and it's awesome. And the 5th is the cockroach one, which isn't so much scary as it's just fucking disgusting, and I love it. It's awesome. 2. What got you into art and the biggest inspiration? I've been drawing since I was a kid. Like, I believe, from the way my mother tells it, a doctor once told her, you need to make sure this kid draws because he has a very weak grip. So make sure to get him some crayons and some paper. And then she just gave that to me, and then I never really stopped. That's not true. I've had periods of a couple of years where I don't come across this way in videos, but I actually have a lot of confidence issues. And there was a period of a couple of years where I barely drew at all, which is why I'm probably as low level as I am, honestly, for my age. But I don't know about an inspiration, man. I've just always liked comics and cartoons, so I've just drawn. And I'm doing it a lot more in recent years than I used to. So I hope I'm getting somewhere. That was only 2 actually, even though you said 3. Okay. Another one of you added me a bit ago, so let me see here. Oh, just someone saying they've been enjoying Fiction Addiction for the last year. Thank you. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Okay. Actually, we should make this a rule. If you have a question, please add me directly, like Lord Smurf just did there, because it makes it easier for me to spot among all the stuff. Sorry. I have a frog in my throat. Anyway, Lord Smurf is asking, favorite visual gag in your own stuff? I think that actually goes very, very far back, because it's such an asshole joke of mine. If you go way back to the Swan Princess Christmas video, I make a couple of jokes a couple of times about people dying when they fall. Because some of the characters take some really bizarre falls in that movie. And there's a scene towards the end where Rothbard, the evil wizard, has Prince David in his claws. It's like a big bird thing, a big demon bird thing, like in the first movie. I don't know what the fuck that thing is. And he like throws David at a set of stairs. And he hits his head on the staircase. And and I just cut to a gravestone and add some funeral music. And that's not the funny part. The funny part, I think, is the epitaph I wrote on it, which reads, here lies Prince Derek. His name's Prince Derek. Here lies Prince Derek, far longer than forever. Which is such an asshole joke. I like that one. There's also one of the videos where I talk to myself. I think it's Surviving Christmas, where I'm talking to my past self, writing the script. And if you look at the screen, it's just a Word document that says the word balls over and over and over. So, other visual gags. I think I'm kind of hating that video because I should have just re-recorded it. And the sound quality is so bad. But the 2007 TMNT movie, in that one, Raphael has this superhero persona he calls the Night Watcher. And there's one line read where I accidentally call him Nightcrawler, which I didn't notice until I started editing. So I just edited in Nightcrawler from X-Men teleporting in and jumping away. I like doing shit like that when I mess up. You probably noticed, whenever I make a small error, I like to get a joke out of it in editing rather than re-record. So, that's some of my favorite visual gags that I remember right now. Anyway. Oh man, you guys are going nuts with the ads right now. Vubu Guru. Have you read any of Junji Ito's works? Only one. I got it from a friend as a Halloween present at random. He just bought it because he thought it was funny. I read not Assassination, that's a different manga altogether. I read Dissolving Classroom, which is by far one of the most disgusting things I've read in my life. But I really want to read more. Junji Ito is absolutely a crazy person, and his stories are all the better for it. From Ketchup Estorp, I know you. Hello. What gave you the courage to start making videos for YouTube? Honestly, I don't know why I had more confidence then than I do now, because I'm not sure I would have dared to do it now. But like I said earlier, man, I just watched Doug, that guy with the glasses, and I was like, I wonder if I can do that, and then I did. And then people responded positively to it in the forums, and I was like, okay, I guess I better keep going. And then as it went on, I got tired of talking about horror only, and then I did this to give myself more free reign. That's basically it, honestly. Yeah, I know, right? Halloween present. It was just a friend of mine who bought it because he thought I'd like it. He must have found it on sale or something. It was very nice of him. We were just like doing a horror night, and he just came and was like, I got a present for you, and threw it at me. And just the cover alone almost made me throw up because Junji Ito is insane. What else? Brandon Croker. What are some animated movies you find to be underrated? Oh crap, that's also really tough to actually. How's the lighting? It's getting dark outside. How does this look? Let me see if I should turn on another lamp. I'm just maybe, I don't know, let's try. What's an animated movie you find underrated? Shit, man, there are so many. So many. Because I actually attend an animated movie festival every now and then. Usually at the beginning of the year. And I see a lot of cool stuff there. I think a lot of French animated movies need more of an audience than they have. There's Belleville Rendezvous. I recently watched one called Phantom Boy. And what the hell? There's also Mr. Fox and all of his friends or something like that. And Other Tales, which is from like a year ago. Ernest and Celestine. The French make some amazing animated films for kids and adults, and all of those are wonderful and should definitely be watched. Who the hell? What other movies are there that I think? Well, Sita Sings the Blues, obviously, which I've talked about before, and it's very much a DIY movie. Just this woman adapting Hindu myths to relate to her own messy breakup. It's an awesome movie. It's such a weird mishmash of styles, and I love it. There's also... Do I have that on DVD? Hold on. Sorry, I'm back in a sec. Come on. My DVD shelf is being a rebel. Here we go. The Point. This is a weird one. I might actually make a video about this one day. Not because it's bad or anything like that. I hope you've noticed I don't only do things I think are bad. This is a really, really weird movie. You know how some people ask, were they on acid when they made this? That's kind of what happened here. The Point was originally an album written by Harry Nilsson, who you... Oh, what the fuck? He's written a lot of famous songs. I can't actually remember one right now. But basically, he just went into the forest one day, high off his ass, and came up with this weird story about a world where everything had to have a point. Like a physical pointy spot, but also a point in the figurative sense. And then he went home and recorded an awesome music album that tells this story with a bunch of songs. And then sometime in the 70s, somebody animated it. It's actually Fred Wolf who made this. Fred Wolf, who you probably know as the producer of the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. That's him. That's him making an animated movie based off of an acid album. Think about that. This is an awesome, strange little film. I don't know if it's good exactly, but it's so bizarre and so fun to watch. And the music is wonderful. So that's definitely an underrated one that more people should check out. I'm gonna make a fucking mess on my desk pulling out all this shit for you guys. What else? Jor the Orc. I know you from my gaming streams. You've mentioned in one of your vids that you quite like 3D action platformers. What do you think is very important in the combat of the combat specifically? I don't know, man. I guess personality to the moves, if I have to say anything, because like there was a time where I really wanted brawlers and platformers to give you a million moves, because I got tired of just punching or just kicking or just doing one thing. But then games like God of War and Bayonetta started happening, and they overwhelmed the crap out of me. Just reading the moves list in Bayonetta makes me drop the game and be like, oh shit, nope, can't play this, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I end up just button mashing. There's no way I can remember all that shit. So now it's more like I want the combat moves to feel natural to the character. And to feel good to play, of course. Be responsive, be fun, be fast, be snappy, but fit the character. Look at the character and find a fun way for them to attack. That's basically it. I don't have much else for that, man. I'm not a game designer. Although I would actually like to take a crack at it sometime. And then there's Billy Mount. Do you think Mick Garris' films are hit and miss? Yes. I wouldn't say that to his face. He was one of the nicest people ever. But I think he's pretty self-aware that not everything he touches is gold. Mick Garris, I mean, I've talked to the guy. I've seen him do a talk and everything. He always has a specific idea of what he wants to do with a movie. And that specific idea is sometimes a little strange. And sometimes he uses techniques that are a little too old, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So yes, there are some I really like. I like Critters 2 a lot. They showed that at the Horror Film Festival earlier this year. I actually really... What the hell was it called? Riding the Bullets, I actually kind of like. I love Nightwalkers because it's batshit insane. But then there's stuff like Desperation, which is just slow, and Psycho 4 is actually alright. It's definitely not the worst sequel I've ever seen to anything. It's actually kind of enjoyable. Probably the worst of the movies, except maybe 3, but it's actually not that awful. So, yeah, hit and miss would describe it pretty well. God damn, you people are going crazy now. David Daltrey, what's been your favorite anime series over the last few years outside of Slayers? Well, Slayers is an old one, dude. I can't keep up with anime. I do like anime, I do want to watch more, but I keep falling out of new shows. And it's very hard for me to look at the list of new shows and figure out which ones I want to watch. So, like, I'm still stuck on... I'm still in the mindset where My Hero Academia is somewhat new. But I really like that. I'm way behind on it. Like, I still think I'm still at the end of season 2, honestly. But I really like My Hero Academia. That's a ton of fun. So it's not necessarily the most unique story out there. Like, it's typical shonen stuff, but I have a big weakness for that. But it's just so awesome. Like, it's just so kick-ass. And that gets me going. So, yeah. My Hero Academia, probably. Billy Mount again. What are your opinions on the live-action Disney remakes? I don't see the point. I mean... Oh boy. I'm not against remakes in theory. Remakes serve their purpose, and if you can find a balance, then hey, like, it's... I just see it as other adaptations. But I am very much in they're only making these for quick nostalgia money camp. I don't see the point. Especially not since most of the time they're a massive downgrade. Not necessarily in whether or not they're well made or anything, but just... The Disney animated movies were animated for a reason. And the live-action films seem to misunderstand what that reason was. I haven't watched any of them. I'm probably never going to. I just don't get it, man. What else? What else? I'm seeing some repeaters here. Voodoo Guru again. Child's Play movie. Oh, the reboot. It looks nice. I am actually kind of psyched for it. I'm looking forward to hearing Mark Hamill. I'm interested in what this new AI angle on it is. And it doesn't look half bad so far. I'm into it. It's definitely one of the remakes I've been the most interested in lately. And hey, even if that one sucks, there's a TV series with the original continuity coming out soon, so can't really complain. Joy the Orc, once again. I just had another question pop up. In movie series that are supposed to be kind of weird, what do you think is important in order to make the weirdness attractive to the audience? That the weirdness is genuine. Like, when it comes to just being weird, it needs to come from just letting your imagination run loose, because that's endearing. That's just you doing things your way. When you're trying too hard to make something strange, then you get shit like Sanjay and Craig, which I still think is a pretty transparent regular show ripoff. I only saw a couple of episodes, so I shouldn't say that, but there are definitely some shows out there that are trying way too hard to be wacky, and it just rubs me the wrong way. But then there's stuff like Adventure Time, which I recently rewatched all of, by the way. It was quite a project. But that always comes across as a child's unlimited imagination running wild, but having an adult editor to like give it a beginning and an end. It feels like reading X-Cop sometimes. And X-Cop is awesome. So, just genuine. Just actually coming from somewhere. Lord Smarth, you told us about anime, now you have to tell us about what cartoons you're currently watching. Well, I recently caught back up to Friendship is Magic, which I've followed pretty much since the start. I need to catch back up on Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is one of my favorite animated sitcoms ever. Most of the shows I like have ended recently, man. Star Versus just ended. Then, of course, there's Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I'm enjoying the hell out of, but they're coming out really sporadically. DuckTales reboot, still amazing. Love every single of it. The Darkwing episode was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Loved it. But, what the hell else am I watching lately? OKKO. Love OKKO. Absolutely. That's actually very much in the camp of Adventure Time, where it feels like when I'm watching OKKO, I feel like I'm watching a child play with action figures. Because it's this setting where every type of hero from every genre can pop up at any time. And it's awesome. It's just all the shit that Ian thought was cool when he was a kid. And it's great. And the rest of the team, probably. So, yeah. Love it. I think that's everything I'm following recently. I need to catch back up on Moonman Valley. I only saw a couple episodes, but it's great. What else? Anarchy Wolf 81. I recently compared your art style to Steve Rolston. Are there any artists that you ever tried to emulate? Well, this should come as no surprise, but I've definitely picked up a couple of habits from Stan Sakai. Largely because I love his work. And because I've been doing that fan comic for the last year, because I'm slow and stupid and never make anything on time. And I'm definitely looking closely and trying to recreate certain things the way he would. Aside from the way he draws characters, that's still mostly me. So, yeah, definitely, I'm picking up a bit from him. And I probably have an inkling of Jeff Smith and Eiichiro Oda in there somewhere too at times. I'm not entirely sure, but I've definitely tried to emulate those the most, I think. What else? Man, you guys are going crazy in here. Remake Black Christmas needs to die. Yeah, that is a terrible one. But Blumhouse just announced a new remake, which I'm on board for. It's been 13 years, it's alright. And Blumhouse usually delivers. Like, say what you will about Blumhouse as a company and the effect they're having on the market, because they're definitely oversaturating it and kind of making horror one thing. I get that. But they usually churn out pretty good stuff. And they know their business. So, I'm curiously optimistic about Black Christmas. Billy Mount, have you ever watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Terminator Dark Fate? I haven't watched the Terminator movie since the third one. I'm just not that into the franchise. I mean, the first two movies are amazing. I'm just not that interested in that franchise. And JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, none of it. I probably should at some point. I'm pretty sure I'd love it. I have friends that love it immensely, so I probably should. Brandon Croker again. Have you heard about the musical based on Beetlejuice? No, I have not. No, I have not. That sounds awesome. I would love to see that. What's this? Well, Christ, people, easy. I didn't actually expect this many people to show up and be this active. I'm very flattered. Matti Keskivari. I hope I'm saying that right, by the way. Are you familiar with Thunderbirds or any of the Jerry Anderson shows? Familiar in it by name only. Never watched any of it. And I'm not in a particular hurry to. Truth or Dare sucked. It did. I said usually. But on the other hand, Truth or Dare made me laugh my ass off. So... David Daltrey asks, have you ever tried tokusatsu? Yes, actually. I've watched the first few of the pre-decade seasons of Kamen Rider. I've never watched any of the 70s stuff, but I've watched up to and including Decade and a fair amount of W. And I've just fallen out of it since then. I think it's very entertaining, but man, I cannot keep up. It's like every year is a new season of almost 60 episodes, and I can't keep up, man. I have too much other shit going on. I don't know how, but one of my most treasured possessions is this guy. A gift from Lord's Mafia in the chat a couple years back. I love it. Kamen Rider Ryuki, my favorite of the ones I watched. Thank you for that again. Let's try not to break this one, huh? Put him up there for a bit. Shinkenger. I think I did watch Shinkenger, yeah. But yeah, I tried some tokusatsu, and I've watched a bunch of kaiju movies, which I know is not quite the same thing, but it's the same ballpark. So, yeah. Anarchy Wolf 81. Are there any other YouTubers you'd realistically want to work with or work with again? Well, John was in here earlier, Bender Waffles. I'd love to do something with him again, but I'm unsure what. John is much more of a, I don't know if he's a developer exactly, but he does a lot of video game work. And I don't know what exactly we do. The top 5 JRPGs we did because he does a lot of tutorials on how to use RPG Maker, so I thought that would be fun. But of course, if Eye of Saul ever asks, but she's changed her style immensely. She mostly does think pieces now, so I don't think I would be very useful there. But if she ever asks if I'm up for anything, sure. And of course, this is the bad side of YouTube. Much like I'm a very small YouTuber, I don't know how to find the other small YouTubers, man. I don't find them. They don't show up in searches. So I'm sitting there like, who to check out? I don't know. There are a few that I've reached out to and asked, and they've been busy, and that's totally fair. So, I've recently, the last few months, discovered Lady Pelvic, who is just, I don't know how she's doing it. She's just rising in subscriber numbers. And if ever there was a chance there, I would actually really love to talk to her, because it's not too long ago she reviewed Breath of Fire 3 and 4, which is some of my favorite games ever, and I did ask, but she didn't have room in her calendar, which is fair, totally fair. But something Breath of Fire related or RPG related would be awesome. But I don't think it's feasible, honestly. Someone is going crazy outside. I think it's just some asshole with his windows down. Oh well. Okay, hold on. I need to check out what that is. Just some neighbor kids having a party. Never mind. Alright. What was it? Other YouTubers I'd like to work with. Those two are up there. What were two? I said more. Lady Pelvic would be fun. But again, I just don't know where any anybody is. I don't know anybody I could work with. So, what else? Let's see here. I'm not going to answer just do you agree with my opinion on this movie thing. Sorry. Jor the Orc is back. What do you think is important in regards to clearly physically strong characters, both in personality as well as in keeping their physical power capacities impressive to see? I don't know, man. That's a bit beyond my my comprehension. I don't know. I actually really like strongman characters in a lot of the time. I think there's a lot of visual appeal to someone who can just take punishment and deal it out without flashy powers. Like, but I don't know, man. Not really. What else? Kenneth asks, any Godzilla or Showa era movies reviews? Yeah, eventually. It's been a while since I've watched any of them, and I like most of them. I don't know what I'd really say. If I were to cover any, it would probably be the later ones like Megalon or Gigan, because those are batshit crazy. I don't know, man. It's not really in the cards right now, but eventually, probably. Billy Mounts. What are your thoughts on Blumhouse doing Todd McFarlane's Spawn? I've never actually read the comics. And I do have a soft spot for the old movie, but I realize it's not a very faithful adaptation. And it's very 90s. I'm up for it. I'm sure it can work. Someone is mentioning Animat as someone I could do something with. I haven't actually watched a lot of Animat's work. I realized he was in the big collab I did with Eye of Saul. And I did watch his segment and enjoyed it. But who knows? Maybe I should watch more of his stuff. Congratulations from Phantom Knight. Thank you. Let's see what else we got here. You should try Kamen Rider Gaim. I did, but again, I just can't keep up, man. I really want to at some point. Billy Mount again. Will you review any live-action movies based on anime manga? I haven't watched that many. Maybe. I've actually thought about... I haven't watched it, so I'm not promising anything. Because I usually don't like making videos about stuff I haven't seen before. But I was considering doing the Phoenix Wright movie because I really like the games. And I know there's like a Bleach live-action movie, but I haven't actually followed Bleach at all since the Arrancar were introduced. And I don't know, the Death Note movie on Netflix was ass, but I think everybody's already torn that one a new one, so I don't know what I could add. Dog person or cat person? Curiously, I'm a dog person, even though we've never had a dog in my house. My mother had an unfortunate run-in with a dog. They had a dog shortly before I was born, and it actually bit her face. I don't know what was wrong with that dog. It's never been disclosed to me, but it like actually bit her up here. So she's not fond of dogs. She's better at it now. She can handle small dogs, but we've always had cats. But I like dogs better. I really love dogs. Just haven't had a chance, man. And I think I just caught up to the chat because I'm not answering any future video questions. Only if it's like, have you considered? But I'm not answering what I'm doing in the future. So I think I just caught up to everything here. Everything you've asked so far. At least the ones that have been added at me. So let's just scroll through the chat and see what people have been saying. The last bit I can respond to. If any of you have anything. Otherwise, we'll have to think of something else to do by now. Because I've been talking your ears off for a fucking hour. Future horror movie. Yeah, sure. Sure. I don't know when. I don't know which ones. But you can at least always count on something horror-related around Halloween. Excited for Ghostbusters 3. Is it Ghostbusters 3 now? Wasn't it just another reboot, from what I understood? Whatever. I have no idea. So now we're in that awkward spot where I don't know what to talk about or say. That's great. No, I have not watched Food Wars, but I've seen so many people... Sorry, that was Ketchup Astrov. I've not seen Food Wars, but there are so many videos about it. I don't need to. I don't want to. Sometimes there are things that just too many people have already covered. Like, There was a long time where I was considering doing Troll 2 for a milestone video. But who the hell hasn't talked about Troll 2? Or The Room, or whatever. Like, what could I add? What could I possibly add? That's also why you very rarely see me do anything that Mystery Science Theater 3000 has already had its hands on, because what can I add? I can't compete with Mystery Science Theater 3000, are you insane? So yeah. Oh yeah, I think you meant Food Fight. See, I even forgot the title, but there's just so much shit out there, man. I mean, my one regret in life is that I can't watch everything, no matter how much I want to. Because, I mean, I have a bunch of movies here. I have a list of ideas for the future. I'm not running out anytime soon. Billy Mount. Did you know there was an Evolution animated series based on the film? Yes, I did, and it's supposed to be ass. Which is a shame, because as I understand, it's made by the same people that did Extreme Ghostbusters and Godzilla the animated series, and Men in Black the animated series, and all of those were great. So. Matti Keskivari, again. Do you have any favorite movie, TV, music composers? Okay, full disclosure, I am not that good at paying attention to soundtracks. Not that I don't care. It's just, I don't hear it the same way other people do. I'm not musically trained. I don't notice. I mean, I remember melodies that I like, of course, we all do. But I couldn't tell you who made them or what makes them unique. So, I have no idea. Absolutely not. Once again, I've caught up with questions, and I actually have nothing else planned. So, just for a second, I'm going to put some of the shit I pulled down from shelves back where they belong. So you're going to get to watch me walk around for a bit. Let's see here. That was fast. Anarchy Wolf 81. Do you like being a one-man operation, or would you get help if you became a bigger channel? I would love to have help. One of my major sins in life is envy, honestly. When I see channels like Game Grumps or Peanut Butter Gamer, and they have friends that help them with their videos, I do get envious a lot. I would love to have that. I would love to have this crew of friends that love doing this stuff too and would help me out. Doing it myself means I get total freedom, but it also means there's no one to bonk me on the head and say, hey, that shit isn't funny, you know? Or that's not a good point, or you're rambling too much. There's no one to rein me in, and that can be a terrible thing. But like, I do wish I had some friends that would enjoy it. I do have a lot of great friends. I don't want to sound like I'm sitting here saying, I have no friends, because I do, and I love them, and I don't know where I'd be without them. But I don't have any real creative partners most of the time, and that does get very frustrating. I will admit that up front. I would love to have people around me to help me do bigger things. Do you really want a sequel to Evolution, asked Billy Mount? I don't see the point. Evolution was nice. Evolution was basically the Ghostbusters 3 we didn't get. Not that good, not that bad. Nah, Evolution is its own fun little late 90s curiosity. I liked it when I saw it. I think did it come out in 2000, 2001? Something like that. Whatever. It's a fun little movie. Nothing more. So that's basically it. Yeah, I don't have much else to offer right now in terms of new stories. I'm just really glad you guys are showing up for this. Like, I actually thought that maybe 5 people would show, but now I've been talking for well over an hour, and that's crazy. Oh, David Daltrey is leaving. Make a small meal before bedtime. Probably a good idea. You sleep well, and thank you very much for joining us. That was awesome. Thank you. I suppose I could be a cock tease here and give you hints on what some of my next video ideas are. Because I'm not going to say what they are specifically. But the next video I have in mind is going to be something very different from what I usually do, actually. It's not going to have anything to do with a specific movie or comic book or game, so it will have to do with comic books, plural. But it's not a review. And you're going to see a sequel to one of my favorite videos and one of the videos that have the most views. You're going to see videos about, or at least one video about, some of the shows that were created in the wake of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And of course, there's going to be a 50-episode special, not soon, but in the near future, that I'm absolutely not giving away, but just look forward to that. There will be another sequel to one of my most popular and one of my favorite videos. And here's a fun one. I am planning to review the pilot of a very, very popular series where the pilot was quite a bit different from the final result we got. And let's just say that the series itself is way more famous and way more successful than this pilot ever was. Of course, coming October, things will get creepy, but in the more kid-friendly end of creepy. 2 ideas there. And I'm going to, for once, go a little more Eastern in a movie I plan to review in the future. Something a little more on the kung fu side of things, which I haven't really covered much on this channel, despite actually really enjoying such movies. And another game video I have in mind is one for a franchise that is not very well known outside of Europe, particularly Belgium and Scandinavia. But one that is very beloved here. So that's going to be interesting, because there's finally a new third game coming in that series. So that's something I have in mind. Just a little bit of cock tease. So you make your... you come to your conclusions from that. Now let's see here. Some of you actually have been... Now you're just suggesting things and I'm not answering those. Oh, you're guessing. Sorry, my bad. What's... From Clogman, what's your favorite beer? Dude, man. I'm not that big a connoisseur. My dad is way into it and I love tasting new stuff. I really like the British one. I tried one called an Old Speckled Hen that I can't find anywhere, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer that. Anarchy Wolf. Any games shown at E3 that you can't wait to get your hands on? Pokemon Sword and Shield and Luigi's Mansion 3. Boom. Done. I love Luigi's Mansion. I played the first game like 4 times. I love that shit. Oops. I ignored a question from Clockman. Let's see here. What's your favorite game from childhood and now? I didn't have that many video games as a kid. My parents never really understood video games, so I didn't really get them for presents. And of course, being a kid living in a small town, there were no video game stores, and I rarely had money to buy any. So from when I was a kid, my first console was a PS1. And on that one, I really played Croc 2 a lot, because that's what I had. I borrowed Crash Bandicoot Warped from a friend all the goddamn time. I love playing that. So that's pretty much, yeah, that's way up there. As for now, recently one of the best games I've played have probably been Marvel Spider-Man. And that has a lot to do with my nostalgia and how much I love Spider-Man as a whole. But that game was just a delight to play. Like, it felt great. And there was so much there to enjoy. I don't agree with every adaptation of every character. I wasn't terribly fond of their take on Scorpion, for instance. But like, the fight with Tombstone is probably one of the coolest boss fights I've had in ages. That was so much fun. So yeah, that was great. Great stuff. I think that's probably the best game I played recently. Lord Smarth asks, what are some favorite TMNT characters? Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Well, to brag some more, this is also a present. Mikey is my favorite turtle. Absolutely, hands down, love this guy. Because, like, a lot of shows tend to downgrade him to just the comic relief, just the party dude. Because that's the part everyone remembers from the 80s, right? He's the party dude. But there's so much more to him. If you read the IDW comics that started coming out a few years back, read the first Michelangelo Micro. That's the Michelangelo I like. The Michelangelo that has a lot of raw natural talent and is a lot more quick on his feet, a lot more willing to improvise, and really observes the world around him. Read that one. It's one where he tries to crash a New Year's party, and it's fucking great. Loved it. Other favorite TMNT characters. I really like Alopex as she appears in the IDW comics. I'm normally in the camp that thinks foxes are like way overused, and yet so many of my favorite characters are foxes, it's ridiculous. But yeah, Alopex, definitely. Among the villains, I'd probably say Rat King in almost every incarnation of his. Because it's not that his power is that unique among comic books. There's also people like Ratcatcher and various other takes on the Pied Piper, you know. There's no sort of shortage of rats in comic books, but the Rat King is extra interesting because he has that thing going with Splinter. If I ever got to make a Turtles movie, I would definitely have Rat King in it. That would be crazy. I would love seeing that. What the hell else? There are so many Turtles characters. Casey is a bunch of fun, of course. Bebop and Rocksteady. When they are actually played as a threat, they're fucking awesome. I don't know, man. There's so many. And a lot of them sadly only appear very rarely anymore. So that's a shame. But yeah, probably like Alopex and the Rat King and Mikey. They're up there. Sure, that's actually a very good idea, and one day I might do that, but no. It's not that franchise you're thinking about. Oh, wait! Hold on, I only read half of the comment before I said that. You're on the right track, yeah. You definitely are. Oh, Christ, you guys are going crazy. I'm gonna read a few comments before I get to the next one. Because you guys are guessing up a storm here, and it's fun to see if you're getting it right. If there was ever a PK animated adaptation, should they keep the classic Donald voice or give him more badass heroic voice? That's the question, isn't it? That's the Wolverine 1987, by the way. That's the question, isn't it? Because it's not Donald without the weird Donald voice. But at the same time, a superhero show and trying to do the tone of PKNA, that would be very difficult to pull off. So, I don't know, man. Get Donald Glover. I don't know. That's a tough call. I mean, the current voice actor in DuckTales, and I don't remember his name, and I feel terrible about it. He's doing a really good job at doing dramatic line readings as Donald. Like, some of the stuff he does is really powerful. So I think it could be done, but it wouldn't be easy. It really wouldn't be easy. Did you like the MCU Spider-Man movies? Well, there's only been one Spider-Man movie, but I'm guessing you mean anything he appeared in. Yes! I love Homecoming. I think it's great. Most things about Homecoming I really, really like. So, let's see here. Everyone likes Mikey. Yes, they do. What song have you got stuck in your head at the moment? From Psycho Pomegranate. Okay. Who's familiar with Maccabee? Some of you might know him from YouTube for the Cucumba video. If you're not familiar with Maccabee, he's this older Rastafari man who every Monday and Wednesday uploads a video called Whammy Eats and what the fuck is the other one? Maccabee Mondays. No, Medical Mondays. And all he does, he's a vegan. I'm not planning to go vegan. But all he does is he picks up one ingredient from his diet. Like, sometimes it's just water or an apple or leek or coconut. And then he just does a minute-long rap with no beats, just him. about how nutritious that thing is and how it's good for you. And it's fucking amazing. I love that guy. But as it turns out, and I didn't know this before I found him, he actually has a fairly long career as a reggae musician. And a lot of that stuff is really, really good. So if anyone out there is looking for some music, I would definitely check Maccabee out. A song of his that I keep listening to lately is called So Many Things. Or What I Gotta Do. One of those things. What the fuck is it? Let me look that up. It's called So Many Things. Listen to that one. It's so cool. It's just him listing things he wants to get done. And some of them are like actual tasks. And others are more lofty goals. Like, gotta set a good example for my family and stuff like that. Great song. I actually lately, usually when I draw, I turn on my TV and turn on Spotify. And that's usually the first one I put on. So, love that one. Oh my god, you really are going crazy in this. Oh, yes! Back to the Turtles characters. One of my favorite new characters from Rise is Hypnopotamus. I think he's an amazing design. And I forget the voice actor's name. He also does the... Fuck, what's his name? He's also on Voltron. I just like his voice. He's awesome. But yeah, Hypnopotamus. He's awesome. He is awesome. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, we've got a couple of new people here. Dark Mavis and Thanos. Welcome. Let's see here. Vubu Guru has left. See you. Thank you for joining us. Anarchy Wolf. Not long ago, you did a review on the Ghostbusters cartoon, The Dumb One. I don't know about not long ago, man. That's at least 2 years. Think you'll ever do any more reviews on 80s cartoons based off of movie properties? Maybe. Actually, the Mr. T one could definitely stand it. But I'm not that familiar with Mr. T as a whole, so it would feel a little hollow to me. Maybe, if ever I think it would be funny. It all depends on whether... I tend to not like making videos about stuff I don't either remember having seen before or have a reason to think I have something to say about. Because I've tried a couple of times to just take something new and be like, this is probably funny, and watch it and take notes, and then I just end up sitting there trying to plow through a script I'm not feeling. So I don't know. If I run into something that would be funny, I might do Hammer Man, because that's the most bizarre fucking thing ever. Billy Mount. Do you like Ruby Rose? Is that RWBY thing people talk about? I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, it was Don Cheadle who did the voice. Why did I say Donald Glover for Donald? I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with everything here. I'm an old man. Cut me some slack. Dark Mavis is asking, did any of you... Wait. The anime trailer for Miraculous Ladybug. I've actually seen a bit of the show. It's not quite my thing, but I did enjoy what I saw. And yes, I did see the original anime trailer. I don't know if I would have preferred it the other way. I just like the theme song, honestly. No, Jure. I'm not saying what franchise I'm doing. Those were cock teasers. I'm not actually answering that. Katja asks, from the trailer, what do you think about Spider-Man Far From Home? It's looking to be fun, because from what I'm gathering, they're using a bunch of fairly obscure Spider-Man rogues as stand-ins for the Elementals. Because I got really confused when I heard about... First of all, I'm a big Mysterio fan, so I'm super excited that he's in it, and that he has the fishbowl, which is... I always loved Mysterio so much. But I was not familiar with the Elementals, so I read up on them when I heard they were going to be in the movie. I was like, this sounds weird. This doesn't sound like it belongs in the Spider-Man movie. But now it's starting to look like they're using a bunch of lesser-known Spider-Man villains, well, except Sandman, as stand-ins for the Elementals, and that sounds really interesting. So it's like Hydro Man and the Molten Man and Sandman. That all sounds great. I actually have a weak spot for Molten Man, personally. I also don't for a second buy that Mysterio is actually a hero. His whole deal is bullshitting, people. He's the master of illusion. Wake up. So, yeah, I'm interested. What else we got here? Who's your favorite Teen Titans member? Asked Dark Mavis. Crap, man. I haven't that. Depending on whether you're talking about the cartoon or the comics, because I've read some runs of the comics, and there I'm actually a big fan of Kid Devil of all characters. I liked him a lot. I mean, I'm going to be predictable, but if we're talking cartoon, it's Starfire. I have a weakness for these happy, positive characters for some reason, and I just love what they did with her design. I realized that the original comic Starfire was a lot more innocent and acted much like in that cartoon, but I just prefer the cute alien princess to the space stripper, man. It just looks better to me. Absolutely. So her in terms of cartoon. In comics, it's a little more tricky because there's been a bunch. I actually rather liked Superboy when he had that black t-shirt face in the mid-2000s in comics. The one that you see in the Young Justice cartoons. He was actually one of the better cases I've seen of like a surly teenage hero. It's very well done and definitely a welcome diversion from how he used to be in the 90s. Oh boy. Or something else. Have you seen any Akira Kurosawa movies? Asks Matty. Yes, I've seen Rashomon. And that's the only one I've seen. I saw that when I studied film. It was part of our film history class. And I loved it. It's great. And I would love to watch more, but his movies are so fucking long, man. I really do want to watch Seven Samurai, but it's 3 hours or something like that. So, not really in a hurry. Sirius Schwarzbrot Black. What's your favorite color? Blue. No, wait. Yellow. Nothing pains me as an old geek as much as quoting the Holy Grail. But there you go. No, you can't trick me, Jory. You're still trying to trick me into saying the name of the franchise I'm planning on covering, and I'm not doing it. Oh, okay. So, when I was teasing about some videos earlier, I said that I would do something based on a European franchise that is not very well known in the US. And at first I thought you were guessing another thing. I thought you were guessing Pippi Longstocking. These Swedish children's stories about the world's strongest little girl. And no, that's not who I was thinking of. No, Master of Illusion is not Mandrake, although I am actually considering doing Defenders of the Earth sometime. That would be fun. Billy Mounds. Have you seen the DC animated movies? Yes, a bunch of them. Not everything, but a bunch of them, and most of them are really good. I like Superman vs. the Elite a lot. That's a great one. Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and honestly, and of course Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker is really good. What else? I've seen a bunch, man, and they're usually pretty good. I like the first Suicide Squad one. I haven't seen the second. The Dark Knight Rises movies were pretty good, I feel like. I can't remember if I saw... what's it called? What's the Superman story where he's dying and he basically becomes a god and he has to do like 12 tasks? Superman... Fuck, what's that called? Why can't I remember that? Well, that had a movie adaptation too that I thought was alright, but it's only like half of the comic, unfortunately. I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong. Ali Alcade. Hi, I like your stuff. Thank you. What's the best and worst video games based off movies, TV shows, or comic book? Holy shit. I mean, I haven't played that many, dude. I guess recently Marvel Spider-Man. I already brought that up as my favorite game lately that I played. That's probably the best comic book game I played in a while. Worst ones? Damn, man. That's a lot. That's most of them. I don't know. No. People are trying to guess the Superman story I was talking about. It was All-Star Superman. Sorry about that. And I've been corrected on Ruby Rose. She is an actress, and I do not know her that well, so sorry. See here. I think I caught... Oh yeah, Batman Under the Red Hood is really good. Thanks for reminding me. BST, aka Teddy. That's a really good one. I like that. I actually really like John DiMaggio's take on the Joker in that one. It's interesting to see him be a little more thuggish. But, yeah. Oh, here's one I missed earlier. Teddy Molin. What's my opinion on Dragon Ball Super? Well, I made a whole video about it, but it might be blocked because Japan hates YouTube, apparently. I liked it. I don't understand where all this negativity regarding Super is coming from, other than nostalgia and everything that didn't happen when I was 12 is wrong. No, I enjoyed it a lot. There's definitely some parts that drag. I agree on that, and I'm not a fan of every decision made during the Tournament of Power, but I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed a lot of the new characters. I really like Ribrianne, for instance. I thought she was a barrel of laughs, and I thought it was interesting. I think it's very clever that they've introduced all these new universes, because like that opens a lot of doors for future stuff. I still need to see the new Broly movie, though. I do want to get around to it. It's supposed to be very good. And people are just telling me shit to watch. I know, okay? There's so much stuff I want to see, and it's tough. There's too much. It's too much. I can't. It's too much. Too much. It's too much. Wow, man. This is hard to keep up with. Harder than I expected. But I hope I'm giving some interesting answers at the very least. We're just kind of bullshitting for now. And again, I don't really have anything else planned. I don't have anything I want to show you or anything like that. Do I think the X-Men could be successfully rebooted into the MCU, asks Dr. Pretorius 616. Sure. It's not going to be easy. Because that will beg the question, where the fuck were they all this time? But yeah, like, there's no reason it couldn't. It would take a way better writer than me to do it, but hey. This should be live chat, it's just a little delayed, so. Is Dragon Ball Super better than GT? I haven't watched GT in a dog's age. I actually don't even remember it that clearly. I'm considering doing a video on that in the future. But doing a video of a 50 episode anime takes a lot of time. But from what I remember, yes. Definitely. Because GT was a hot mess. GT, as I recall, had some good ideas that it had no idea what to do with. I actually remember really liking the original idea behind the last arc of GT, where all the original wishes have gathered a bunch of negative energy, and each of them have been reborn into a separate dragon that they have to fight. I thought that was really interesting, but most of the dragons fucking suck. Like, they're terrible. Terrible. Oh, this is an interesting one. From Anarchy Wolf. Who are some of your go-to YouTubers, the ones you look forward to in your subs list? There's a bunch. Cadicarus and Peanut Butter Gamer for other reviewers. Love those guys. Love how wild they are. I wish I could be half as funny as they are. Like, they're just incredible at what they do. And I follow both of them on Twitter, and Austin in particular. Austin, Peanut Butter Gamer, Austin Hargrave. Seems like such a wonderful guy. I would absolutely love to meet him someday if I ever got the chance. Just seems like a great person. I love his stuff. Then there's, I think the channel is called Triforce Films, but the guy calls himself Mr. Doofs. He does a cappella cartoon songs. All the themes from all the cartoons you can possibly imagine, he does a cappella covers of them. And he's amazing at it. And in every video, he actually dresses up as the main character from the cartoon or game or whatever he's doing an a cappella cover of. And it's always a delight. I think he puts up at least one a week. And it's only like a minute, so it's not like you're missing anything, but they're freaking great. Love that guy. Who else? Switch Up is a recent channel I found, which is it's just these two dudes from Britain. I think it's Glenn and Mike. Is the other one Mike? I forget their exact names, but it's a recent channel that's really growing fast that reviews practically every indie game you can find on the Switch eShop. I've never been that good at keeping up with indie games or buying them, but with the Switch making it so easy, I'm way more into it, and watching them review it gives me a lot of stuff to put on my watch list, so I can grab them when they're on sale for dirt cheap. So love those guys. They also every week do like at 10 games you should keep an eye out for. Like they basically gather 10 trailers that look interesting. And that's a really good way to keep an eye on what's going on Switch. So I love those guys. Dark Mavis, can you wait? I'm still going through YouTubers, but ask that in a moment. Who else? Among Game Grumps. I've been a fan of Game Grumps since the John era. I've pretty much watched them every day. I think one of the first things I watched with them was the Goof Troop playthrough. But yes, definitely Game Grumps and Ninja Sex Party. Of course, Ross, whenever he uploads something. I've only attended one or two of his streams. Unfortunately, Robert Ross. R/ is another recent one I'm grown really fond of. Probably the only Storytime Reddit YouTuber I care for. Other than Sorrow TV. Sorrow TV is awesome. And then, of course, there's a bunch of animators that I really like. Who else? Is there anything else I can think of right now that I really love to see on YouTube? Those are the main ones I can think of right now. Did You Know Gaming? I love watching Did You Know Gaming. Let's see here. Lordsmouth asks, saddest comic moments that is not from Usagi Yojimbo. Ah, crap, had to cripple me there, didn't you? Okay, let's think. Not a lot of comics get me truly sad while reading them. But actually, since somebody brought up Teen Titans earlier, the Jeff Johns run, I think it's the Jeff Johns run, had one that really gets to me to this day. It's shortly after Identity Crisis, which, if you don't recall, is a very infamous story in which the supervillain Dr. Light turns out to have been a rapist, and there's a whole conspiracy with superheroes removing villains' memories against their will when they discover their secret identities. It's a story that has a lot of good ideas in it and a lot of terrible moments. After that after that comic, something terrible happened. No, in that comic, something terrible happened, and the third Robin, Tim Drake's father, was killed. Now that's obviously terrible, but there is an issue of Teen Titans that followed shortly after where Robin he's basically pulling a Batman. He's throwing himself way more into the work, and they're taking down a villain called the Electrocutioner. And he nearly beats the living fuck out of him, nearly beats him to death. Like, he's been super bitter and impossible to talk to the whole issue, and he's just wailing on this fucking guy who stands no chance. And the entire team has to stop him. And then there's just 2 panels of him being completely dead silent after they ask what's wrong. And all he can say is, my dad died. And then the issue just ends with everybody coming in for a group hug. And that's it. That's the whole issue. And I think the narration says something like, for the first time in days, I stopped thinking like Batman and start acting like Tim Drake. That's a really, really strong moment. That really gets to me when I think about it. Other than that, most of the saddest moments in comics have been from various manga. Like half of One Piece, honestly. Especially Chopper's backstory. The entire thing with Dr. Hiruluk. That gets me misty eyes every single fucking time. Anime or manga. The same with Brook singing his last song to Laboon. It's impossible. The fight between Luffy and Usopp at Water 7. Completely impossible to watch that with a dry eye. So yeah. But the Teen Titans thing I mentioned, what I like about that is it doesn't spend a whole issue with him having to talk to everyone individually. All it does is show the results of keeping shit like that in and how good it feels to let it out. And that's it. It doesn't need to go anywhere else. I think that's excellent. Let's see, what else? Oh, Dark Mavis. Oh, this is like, this is apparently asking for advice on conduct when you commission an artist. What I get from the artist isn't exactly what I requested. Should I tell the artist that it's not exactly what I wanted, or would that be rude? That's very different from person to person. What I personally do when I order something is that I always show them a sketch before I ask for any kind of payment. I make sure to ask a lot of detailed questions. What kind of pose do you want? What kind of face do you want? Expression. Do you want it colored or not? Like, I ask all those questions if they aren't already answered. And then I make my sketch and show them the sketch. And I'm like, this is your chance to tell me what you want done differently. At this point, you can tell me, hey, no, I don't like that pose, or I just remembered. And then after that, pay. And I'll do it from there. At that point, you've consented to receiving what you've seen so far. You can't come in after the fact and be like, hey, you drew this, it took you 5 hours, the whole transaction has been done, I need you to redo it. That doesn't work. But it's definitely okay to ask to see some progress and then try to say, but keep it to small things, you know? So, Lordsmouth, aren't you watching Ninja Sex Party Live later this year? I am. They're having their first Europe tour, and they're coming to Denmark. And I didn't expect it. I did also go see the Game Drums when they came here with Jacksepticeye 2 years back, I think. So yes, definitely going. That'll be awesome. Matti Keskivari. Sorry, I keep getting that wrong. Was there any particular reason you chose Offerings as your first review back in the Horrible Horror days? No, I don't think so. I just think it was the one I thought would be the funniest one at that time. At that time, I spent an enormous amount of time digging up every single obscure slasher movie I could, and Offerings just sounded funny. And I had read about how it was a massive Halloween ripoff. So I just kind of went for it. I actually, with Horrible Horror, I did a lot of what I said before I don't like, and just grabbed movies I hadn't seen before and tried to force a video out of them. Sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't, but I've grown away from that. I don't like doing that much. But I don't know, it was just the easiest target at the time, I guess. Have I watched the Titans vs. movies? Yes, they're alright. Am I good at riddles? Absolutely not. Is my computer making noise? Oh, that's probably Norton. Sorry. It's just telling me my my trial run is out. So yeah. Exploring with the Nog says congrats on 5,000. Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy about it. It took forever, and I can't wait to celebrate 10,000 in 10 years. But nah, I'm kidding. I know I'm on a very, very slow and steady climb here, but it's still cool to me that 5,000 people like my stuff that much. And more, like, there's always some falling off at some point. And just the fact, actually, back when I ended the old channel and started the new one, back then I had about 3,000 people subbed. And about 600 of them actually joined me on the new channel almost immediately. That's still incredible to me. That was really cool. So, I'm definitely flattered by the attention. And I just closed the chat. Let's not do that. What's this? Have you seen Happy Times Murders? Happy Time Murders was not good. I'm not against doing R-rated materials with Muppets characters. Because, like, Meet the Feebles is the thing and that movie is hilarious. But Happy Time Murders thinks it's more unique than it is. Like, it came out after stuff like Sausage Party. Yeah, that's what it was called, Sausage Party. And Meet the Feebles was a thing way back in the 90s. Like, masquerading R-rated stuff as with children's characters is not as new as that movie thinks. And the problem is, it's trying to sell itself as oh so raunchy, oh so gross and adults and all the sex and boobs and butts and shit and cum jokes it can throw at you. But again, Meet the Feebles already did that, and Meet the Feebles did it with a much greater sense of abandon, while Happy Time Murders is still trying to tell a murder story which is so run-of-the-mill that it doesn't fucking work. Like, there are some moments in Happy Time Murders I think are really funny. The puppetry is amazing, but it's just not that good a movie. And yes, I know it was done by Brian Henson, but it's just not that great. You can watch it. It's okay. Jor the Orc asks, what do you think of jesters and jester characters in comics, games, movies generally? I mean, I guess you could say it's an overused theme, but they're usually very fun. Like, I'm not gonna say a bad word about characters like the Joker or the Trickster, Toyman, Prankster, stuff like that. I do feel like Monster Clown specifically are way overused and almost never done right. But jester characters, I can't think of any that I outright dislike. Like, there are actually some stories with the Daredevil villain Jester that are really, really interesting, surprisingly. Even though a lot of writers try to treat him as a joke. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Wade. Mark Wade. When he wrote Daredevil comics for a while. He actually did a story where the Jester essentially started a race war in New York. And that was intense. That was really good. Well, not the race war, but the story, of course. That was great. I actually had never considered that the Jester could do shit like that. So, that was something. Favorite soundtrack from a TV show? Shit, man. Look, I talked about this earlier. I'm not that good at keeping an eye on soundtracks. I'm just not. So, well, I guess Steven Universe, because it's the only one I can think of right now where we like the soundtrack. Actually, I think Dance of Swords, Pearl's theme. Well, it was her theme at some point, Dance of Swords. That's my ringtone, so. Sorry, I'm forgetting to say people's names when I read these now. Do you like any James Bond movies? Never watched that much James Bond. I've seen a couple of the Daniel Craig ones. I've seen one of the Pierce Brosnan ones. I'm not that interested. Anarchy Wolf, never got to see anything from the old channel. Would you ever add those to your current channel? Just as a playlist? Probably not. For a couple of reasons. One, I don't care about them as much as you guys do. I'm sorry. Second, that would really be weird for any newcomers that don't know my old stuff. And third, I don't think I have all of them anymore. I think a lot of them actually got lost in a computer transfer once, which is a shame. I did try to keep them, just in case I changed my mind, but I think they're actually gone now. Which sucks, and I'm sorry, but... Ooh, someone just mentioned Zorn and Thorn among jesters from Final Fantasy IX. Yes, those two are awesome. I love Final Fantasy IX, one of my favorite games ever. Do you watch... Sorry, I'm forgetting... I can't keep up with your name, so I'm just answering questions now. Do you watch animation YouTubers like Tabs? I don't know who that is. I do watch Jaden Animations, and I know who the odd one out is. And what's her name? Rebecca Parham? I watched Jaden Animations. I follow her, and I love her stuff. I haven't really watched that much of the other two, but I liked what I saw. Silver Moon Ravenwolf asks, have you seen the Jim Henson's The Storyteller? No. And I have not seen the Titan series either. The trailer made me laugh so hard for all the wrong reasons that I haven't wanted to give it a shot. That's not fair. I usually run by a mantra that you should always give a show at least 3 episodes before you judge, but I just haven't found myself wanting to. Let's see here. I'll have to look into Final Fantasy IX more. Yes, it's a great game. To be fair, when I say it's my favorite Final Fantasy, I haven't actually played that many Final Fantasy games to the end. I have tried to play 4 to 6 and never actually finished them. I have a disc of the 7th game and never finished it. The story is wonderful. I did enjoy it while playing it, but overall that game hasn't aged as well as some people would have you think. It works, it's fine, I enjoy it. There are still parts of it that are very frustrating. And I liked playing 10, I hated the story. I liked playing 12, I hated the story. Like, I have a complicated relationship with Final Fantasy, alright? 8, I've only seen Spoonie, Noah Antwiler, Spoonie, from the Spoonie Experiment, do his videos of way back in the day. And that's all I need. I miss Spoonie, man. At some point, he just got too arrogant for me. I wonder if he's actually done anything lately. Huh. Oh well. I haven't watched Doom Patrol either, no. No. You're misunderstanding me. I have a copy of Final Fantasy VII. I have all the discs, but thank you for offering. Oh, this one is interesting. Favorite robot masters from the Mega Man franchise. Once again, not played that many of the games to the end, so so I'm speaking purely from a design standpoint. I really like Cutman. That probably sounds lame. He's one of the first ones, one of the stupidest ones. But I've always thought Cutman was awesome. Pharaoh Man is definitely cool. I actually really like Toadman. He's such an odd design. Same with Heatman. There's a bunch of them I actually think are really, really cool. Who the fuck was I thinking of just now? Gemini Man, Ring Man. A bunch of them are really cool. I just think it's a fun design aesthetic. Have you seen any of the Final Fantasy CGI movies? I've watched both. And the first one, Spirits Within, has almost nothing to do with Final Fantasy, which I didn't really register at the time. I don't think it's that good. And Advent Children, I watched without having played Final Fantasy VII, and I was very, very confused. Oh, here we go. Yes, prepare thyself. You just opened the Dragon Quest box. Now I'll talk for another 2 hours. I just recently got my first Dragon Quest game, 8. Have you played any of the games? Boy, let me tell you! Pretty much the only ones I haven't played are the first 3, because they're a little too old school for me, and even the Game Boy Color releases are a little too much. So unless those get some remakes, probably not. But I have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Most of these in DS remakes, of course. Except for 8, I have the PS2 copy of that. 9. Obviously not 10, because that only came out in Japan and was an MMO. And 11, which I love. But still need to play the third act of. Yes, I like Dragon Quest a lot, basically. I love those games. And I really wish that more people would pay that franchise some respect. That's why I'm very excited about Smash, actually. I've never really played Smash Bros. Games. I don't have anyone to play them with at home, and I far prefer couch stuff to online. So I've just never had a reason to, much as I'd like to. But seeing that a bunch of Dragon Quest heroes are now in the game really warms my heart, and I'm so glad to see how many people agree with that. How many people have just like, yes! And then, of course, all the main babies that cry about it being a wasted spot because nobody in the West cares about Dragon Quest. Yeah, newsflash, the shit is made in Japan. And Dragon Quest is essentially one of the most important franchises, if not the most important game franchise in all of Japan. So, shut the fuck up. You have like 80 other characters to pick from. Do I like Kingdom Hearts better? Oh my god. I've only played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I do think that franchise gets more shit than it deserves. I don't think the storyline is that much more complicated than most other JRPGs. I've watched a couple summaries, and yes, I can see where it gets a little finicky, but I don't think it's any stupider or worse than so many other things I've seen. I do want to play 3 eventually. I've seen enough summarizations to get an idea of it, but most of the spin-offs just come off as too gimmicky for me to care. I do very much enjoy playing them. I've played 1 and 2 twice each at least, and had a lot of fun. Do you think the original Jak and Daxter game should have a remake like Spyro did? Maybe? I don't think it's necessary. I think those games are pretty good as they are. I don't think there's... Maybe tone down the difficulty a bit in 2, because there are some real bullshit moments in that one. Those are some games I really should replay. I don't think I ever finished 3, actually. Is there any obscure game franchise that you would love to see return and live up to its full potential compared to when it first came out one day? Shit, man. Probably. But I can't think of one right now. Breath of Fire. Of course. Breath of Fire is a wonderful series of RPGs. Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are some of my favorite games ever. We don't talk about 5, or Dragon Quarters it's called. Or the mobile game that only the Japanese got. That's a game that hasn't had a... I don't think... Does Dragon Quarter count as a mainline game? I don't know. But it hasn't had a mainline game in like 15 years. It's overdue. I want it so badly. Like, give me a new Breath of Fire! For God's sake. But now you're making me think, like, what else? There's definitely something, and I can't think of it right now. I actually have a bunch of games here. Let me see. Nah, man, I can't think of any specific ones right now that I would love to see. There are probably some, and they're just not coming to me, but so many are getting remakes now that it's hard. It gets harder and harder to say, oh, this needs a reboot because it's gonna get one soon. So, there you go. So, no, not really off the top of my head, no. Going to play the new Doom game. I don't play shoot 'em up games much. I do have BioShock 1 and 2, actually, and 3, and really enjoyed those, but I'm not much of a shooter guy. And I see Dark Mavis is leaving. Thank you for the congrats, and hope you enjoyed this. Yes, Medieval has a remake, and I'm very excited. Those are another bunch of games I've never played to the end. I have the first one, but I love the look of it. I love the humor. I love the design. I love everything about Medieval as a franchise. So I'm very excited about that remake. Definitely. What the fuck, man? I'm really trying to think of some now, and I can't. Clock Tower. The Clock Tower horror games. More specifically, more in line with the first two. The original Super Nintendo one and the PlayStation 1. Granted, I've also said recently that I am getting tired of run and hide games in horror. And I am. It's getting a little overdone. But Clock Tower, at least the first one, felt so much like a giallo slasher movie. More than most games I've ever played. And I'd really love to see something done with Clock Tower again. That would be great. Loved my Outlast highlights. Thank you. That is an old-ass video. But that was a great game, the first Outlast. I suppose I really should give Outlast 2 another go sometime, but I don't know, it just got more frustrating to me than fun. Lordsmouth, how do you like the new Pokemon in Sword and Shield? I love them. They're all looking great. I'm definitely all up on that Wooloo train. That thing is adorable. I know it's basically just a sheep with pigtails, but let's not pretend that's the first time that a super simple Pokemon has won the hearts of a million people. Like, they're so... It's just adorable. And right now, Sobble is definitely the one I'm counting on for a starter, because it's adorable. Either that or Scorbunny, depends on what the evolutions look like. What else has been revealed so far? Dreadnought looks pretty cool. Corviknight is awesome. What the fuck is that Corgi one called? Cause it's awesome. Oh man. Shit, what's it called? Yamper? Because that thing is adorable. Love him. Love Yamper. And then there's that weird gremlin thing that I don't know what the fuck is and terrifies me. But no, so far, really looking forward to Pokemon Sword and Shield. But I always look forward to a new Pokemon game, so. Have I played Harvester? And do I know that the girl in Clock Tower is modeled after Jennifer Connelly? No and no. I hear great things about Harvester. Or rather that it's extremely disturbing. But haven't had the chance. Ooh, what's the holy grail of my collection? That's a tough one. Cause it depends on which collection. I have a bunch of movies, bunch of books, bunch of comics. When it comes to comics, this one I actually have lying around. Hold on. At Genuine Usagi Ojimbo issue 1. A friend of mine found this at a flea market when he was traveling, and he bought it for me immediately. I'm considering having it framed. And if Stan Sakai ever comes to Denmark, I'm gonna have this motherfucker signed. Absolutely. That is great. Love this. Let's put that back, and I'll think about the other ones. Anything I have that is autographed is obviously up there. We talked about this earlier. The Robert Englund autograph that I got earlier this year. This is awesome. Sleep kills, as it says, and with a C, because he's cool with the young ones. So let's put that back. Let's see what else I got. When it comes to games, I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up. My first console was a PlayStation that I bought from my uncle used with my own pocket money. So I didn't get a Super Nintendo until I bought one as an adult, secondhand from some guy. But among the games he sold, and probably the most I've ever paid for an old game, and still actually a bit of a steal, is a genuine physical copy of Secret of Mana. It actually came with a poster, which is above my TV. Unfortunately, I tore a bit of the corner, which is fucking awful, but I still have it, and it's beautiful. So, Secret of Mana. I have played it. I have played it to the end. I enjoyed it greatly. I'm really bummed to hear that the remake wasn't that good. But I'm considering getting Collection of Mana, because I've always wanted to play the third Mana game. And being able to play the first one with a friend on the Switch would be absolutely amazing. So definitely considering getting that. But this is probably one of the most interesting physical video games I own. Very excited about this. Now when it comes to movies, that's basically everything that's autographed. So that would be Toxic Avenger 1 and 2. My copy of Blue Sunshine when I met oh crap, I can't actually remember his last name. The director behind Squirm and Blue Sunshine and Just Before Dawn. Fuck! I can usually remember his fucking name. But he was at the Bloody Weekend Horror Festival last year, and I bought a copy of Blue Sunshine off of him. On Blu-ray. It's right here. Why can I not remember it? I feel so bad. Jeff Liebman, of course. That's here. But I have a bunch of other autographed ones. My copy of Demons is autographed too. So, bunch of cool shit. Absolutely. Now, I do also have a bunch of figures. And I did show you the Kamen Rider one. Obviously, I have two Usagi figures that I got from a friend who is in this chat right now. From the 2003 and the 2012 series. Love these. And I would definitely love to find one from the 80s series someday, even though he's buff and weird. But I do love all my figures. I don't think I have one holy grail, but I want to show you one that I think is hilarious. Satana. This is one of the only times in my life that my family has bought me one of these things. Again, they don't really get the whole thing. They don't know where to look for them, and they don't try much. But one time, my dad bought me one of these figures, and he bought Satana. And I wondered, why the hell would he buy Satana when in that same shop there would be characters like Spider-Man or Harley Quinn, like stuff that most people recognize? And my dad answered, well, I just picked the one that had the nicest ass. Can't argue with that logic. So, I have Satana. And I think that's it for right now, actually. I don't have anything. I have a couple Biker Mice from Mars tapes with the Danish dubs in my VHS collection that I'm very fond of. Because, again, Danish dubs are impossible to come by, and I love Biker Mice. I have a bunch of the figures. So, oh, wait, let me put this back. But yeah, those are definitely some of the coolest shit I have. Love those. I'm gonna have to scroll up and look at some more questions of yours. Tarlo, I have an 80s Usagi. Want me to send it to you? I would love that, but I'm not gonna give my address away, and I don't know how I can actually have it sent to a PO box. I don't know how that works. But you know what? Hit me up on Twitter. Let's talk about that. I actually would really love it. All right, let's go back a bit. You guys have been asking more questions while I went through this. But yeah, those are some of the gems in my collection that I really love, that I'm very happy at. Oh, actually, wait, one last thing. A couple of years ago, in Copenhagen, an animation film festival started that only shows animated movies for adults. That doesn't mean sex, drugs, and rock and roll always, just not for children. And the first year, they actually got Bill Plimpton to attend as a guest and showed almost all of his movies. If you're not familiar, Bill Plimpton is basically the independent animation god. He's done so many shorts, about 7 feature-length films, and they're all drawn by hand, and it's incredible. The dude is hilarious and awesome. And he showed all of his films, and after each and every movie, he handed out promotional postcards for his new movie, Cheatin', and drew a little doodle on all of them. So I have 5 of those, and they're on my wall over my dining table. I love those. All right, let's see here. I can go at most for another half hour, 45 minutes, depending on how much you guys ask. Let's see here. That's a recommendation for a game. Let's save that for another time. Writer Buzz, you're new. Hi. What are your thoughts on Banjo on Smash Bros? I never played the Banjo-Kazooie games. I've never had a Nintendo 64, so I've never had that pleasure. But a lot of people really wanted him. He's a fun wanted them, Banjo and Kazooie. They're fun characters. I'm hype, but again, I don't have the game, so if I had people to play it with, I definitely would enjoy it. Would you want Clock Tower to get a 3D remake in the same vein as RE1 and 2? Absolutely. We just talked about that. Yes. Do you get to travel outside the country as much as you'd like? No. Money. I don't have a job. so that's not really an option. I haven't, other than going to Sweden for that con earlier this year, I haven't been out of the country since 2014. And it eats me up inside. I want to travel, but I don't have the option. Gamer Touch TV. Do you think you'll ever have a horror segment similar to Horrible Horror? No. No. That thing is dead. I'll just do horror movies whenever I feel like them. Sorry. Would you get the old cartridges for Dragon Quest even if you can't play them because they're Japanese? No. No, I like collecting things. I love having my room be like a library of all my nerdy shit. But no, I'm not gonna buy stuff for the sake of... Well, other than figures, of course, since I don't sit around and play with them like toys. But I don't want them to just be here for show. If it's games, movies, comics, I want to read them. I want to watch them. I want to play them. I can't imagine myself throwing thousands of dollars after a genuine Dragon Quest 1 cartridge just to have it sit on a wall. Not really. Have I read the new Usagi Yojimbo saga? If you're referring to the saga collection that includes stuff like Senso and Space Usagi and Yokai, then yes. Yes, I got that well over a year ago. Good shit. Have you played Outlast 2? Yes, actually. You can find 4 episodes of it on my gameplay channel, because I didn't play that much of it. I don't know if I was just in a bad mood that day. I didn't think it was that great. I got very frustrated, so maybe I'll give it another go sometime. Don't count on it. Huh. Any weird collectibles you own? Okay. Weird. That depends on your definition of weird. There are two. There are two I can think of right now that are a little strange. So, hold on. This isn't really a collectible. It's just something that my big sister found in my parents' attic a while back. And she thought it was funny and said I should have it. And I leave it in my window now because it is kind of funny. Say hello to Batman and Robin Batman. The Joel Schumacher version. I don't remember when I got this. Must have been when I was a little kid, but it's funny. Look at it. It's just a static dude. All he can do is move his arms. This dumbass cape. He's funny. I like him. And this one I found at the flea market, and it's completely idiotic, and I don't know why I have it, but it was too funny not to have. Silent Bob, Kevin Smith. I love his movies. I really like his stuff. Unfortunately, I just had to throw away a Green Arrow figure today because it broke. But I actually really liked his run on the Green Arrow comics too. Just a fan of the... Oh! Way back in the beginning of this video, somebody asked who I wanted to meet from Hollywood. Definitely Kevin Smith. I should have thought of that. But yeah, that's a kind of weird one. But it was too funny not to buy for like a couple bucks. So let's put him back up there. Oh man, you have gone completely nuts while I was going through the collection. Hold on. Tarlo, again, yes. Send me a private message over on Twitter. Find me there and we'll talk about it. We'll find out how we do it. I would absolutely love that. Writer Buzz, what are your thoughts on Samurai Pizza Cats? I've only watched a couple episodes, but those were very, very funny. And the theme song is awesome. Definitely. Have you seen Fritz the Cat? It's highly controversial. Yes, I have a couple times, and it's a good movie in its own right. 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, however, is not. Yes, Nickelodeon does own Usagi. Well, no, they actually don't. They bought the rights to have him appear because the coming animated series is being developed by Gaumont. And the comics just moved from Dark Horse to IDW recently. I think the first issue is coming out this month, if it didn't already come out. So, I don't know. Nickelodeon has no ownership over Usagi from what I understand. Oh, who was my first cartoon crush? I don't remember, man. I've had a couple that I've looked back on retroactively and thought that must have been it. But I don't know for sure. It took me a while to really get that interested, honestly. Probably Megara, who I mentioned earlier, and I think not even in a crush way, just I thought she was cool. Kylie from Extreme Ghostbusters. Because when I was a kid, man, the concept of a girl who was into horror stuff and monsters and shit was very, very novel. So, so that probably had something to do with that. There's a ton. I don't fucking know. Now I have like 50 of them. How do you feel about characters that are literal monsters, yet also shown to be very intelligent? My god, your questions are very specific. How do you feel about characters that are literal monsters, yet also shown to be very intelligent, and what characters do you consider good examples, aside from Toffee from Star Vs? I mean, there are very, very few character archetypes I outright dislike, so I'm fine with that. What the fuck? Can I even think of an example? I don't think I can, man. That's a strange one. Huh. Any thoughts on the Masters of the Universe franchise? Pretty much all I've seen is an old VHS I have at home with a couple, well, at my parents' place, with a couple of He-Man episodes with a terrible, terrible Danish dub, and the new She-Ra show. And I like the new She-Ra show. I was actually working on a drawing of Mermista earlier today that I need to shade. It looks fun. I've never gotten that much into it. At some point, I'd love to. I'd love to at the very least watch that 2003 series. That looked really good. But, yeah, I should get more into it. I definitely love the character design. The weird Conan sci-fi fantasy aesthetic that it has going for it is very cool to me. So, I can see why it's such a big deal. Why the whole franchise is such a big deal. But, never gotten that much into it. Personally. Is everyone in your family as tall as you? And have you ever worn your hair short? Thank you for noticing the hair. Almost. My mom is the shortest one of us at like 6 feet, I think. I'm the tallest by maybe 1 inch on my dad. Something like that. 1 or 2 inches. So yeah, no, we're a family of giants, definitely. Even here in Denmark, we're considered a tall fucking family. It has caused my sister quite a bit of grief. Most bizarre movies and TV shows you've ever seen. Shit, man. That's a bunch. The Point that I talked about earlier is definitely up there on the bizarre one. Monkey Bone is a really weird one. I was talking about that with a friend the other day. Which is the one live action video. The one live action movie done by the director of Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride. And it's still full of stop motion. It's about some cartoonist who gets stuck in the land of ideas where mythological creatures and fictional characters exist. And one of his own characters called Monkey Bone takes over his body. It's super weird. Not very good, but definitely strange. As for TV shows, fuck. I mean, Adventure Time was definitely up there back in the day. Until it got a little more somber. I don't know. I can't think of one. I haven't seen the new Godzilla yet. I'd love to. I forgot to answer the hair thing. Not since I was 14. My hair has been long since I was about 14 years old. There's no real history behind it. Like, my mom just said one day, I wonder what you'd look like if you let your hair grow. Because when my hair is short-ish, but starting to get long, it actually gets quite curly. Or it did back then. So all my mom did was just say, I wonder what it would look like if you let it grow. And then I just did and liked the look. And I've been a long hair ever since. I like it. I like how it makes me look. The only thing that could make me cut this would be if I like got a movie role or something that required it. And even then I would let it grow back out immediately after. Like, I like it this way. Horde Prime. I don't know who that is, but it sounds interesting. What's the worst Saturday cartoon of the 1980s? From Dr. Pretoria 616. You gotta remember, man, I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 89. So the most I've seen of 80s cartoons will have been reruns. Worst Saturday morning cartoons of the 1980s. Boy, I do not know, because contrary to popular belief, there was a lot of garbage in the 1980s. Like, we all remember the good ones, but for every good one, there are like 5 terrible ones. That's how it is with every decade in pretty much any medium, so there you go. I don't know. I haven't actually seen an episode of it, but just from the intro, I'm willing to say Beverly Hills Teens. Because it looks like the most vapid cartoon I could possibly imagine. How do you feel about classic He-Man in the new She-Ra cartoon? Sure, if they can find a way to fit him in. From what I understand, the reason he's not in it is because of some copyright stuff. Which is always complicated and a whole mess to work with. But, yeah, I'd like to see it. Huh. What else? Oh, now people are just throwing awful 80s cartoons at me. Hammerman and Chuck Norris Karate Commandos. Those might be future videos if I ever feel like it. Those will be in the 3-episode format. I'm not watching the whole season just for that. Why are you sending me dares to pronounce stuff? Look, I know English is not my first language, alright? Cut me a break. Don't mock the foreigner, bastard. Thoughts on Halloween 2018? It was good. Not quite as scary as I was hoping, but I like how brutal Michael is. I like how random he is. He's back to being a bit of a trickster, doing things for reasons we don't understand. And I didn't like the subplot with Laurie's granddaughter's boyfriend, because he just does a complete 180 all of a sudden in the movie for no reason other than to get rid of a phone. And he's just such a bastard all of a sudden. Are you excited to see a slasher boom thanks to Halloween's success? Will there be one? I haven't really seen a sign that there will be one, but sure. Type in Muppets with teeth on Google. No, sir. I've been down that rabbit hole and it is terrifying. I'm not doing that. I am going to do some kind of video on the Steven Universe movie once it comes out, but probably not a top 10 moments. I'll have to see what it is before I decide what to do with it. And actually with that, somebody just mentioned I should probably start to wind down, because I've gone for 2.5 hours. Yes, probably. I should stop soon. So I'll take 2 or 3 more, and then we're done for the day. Any forgotten, obscure horror or horror-related characters in media you would like to see return in the future? Maniac Cop. Absolutely Maniac Cop. Dude only got 3 movies, and the first 2 are really fucking fun, and because he's just a goddamn machine. I mean, imagine if the Terminator movies kept being about... Imagine if the Terminator in the first Terminator movie was dressed as a cop and just killed everything in sight. That's basically Maniac Cop. That movie is awesome. Absolutely. Love it. So I would love to see Matt Cordell make a return. Definitely. Of the old MTV animated shows, which were your favorites? You mentioned Daria, which is awesome. I don't actually know which ones were from MTV. What was Clone High MTV? Because I love Clone High. Clone High was awesome. And I'm actually in the camp that liked the first 2 reasons of Drawn Together. I like that it's a show that very upfront just says, look, man, we're just going to do our thing, and we're going to be raunchy, we're going to be dumb, we're not going to have a point, we're just going to try and do as much sex, drugs, violence, and rock and roll as we can, and if you don't like it, you can fuck off. Like, you gotta respect that to some point. And I do think some parts of the first 2 seasons are very, very funny. Some of them still get me to this day. There's some stuff there that really makes me laugh. So, yeah, those were great. Season 3 and the movie, however, especially the movie. Oh, that was bad. But, yeah, probably Clone High. I did like the Max a lot, if we're staying on MTV. The Max was awesome. Oh, no, man, you don't need to apologize for some of the stranger questions. They make me think, at the very least. Oh, Drawn Together was Comedy Central, I'm just being reminded. I think it was shown on MTV in Denmark at some point, because that's the only time I watched it. But yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Beavis and Butthead, of course. I have a couple of highlight DVDs with them. That's always a delight. And me and a friend have watched the Beavis and Butthead Do America movie more times than any healthy human ever should. Definitely. That movie is hysterical. I love it. It has probably one of the best opening jokes. When Beavis and Butthead wake up from their dream and Butthead realizes the TV is gone. And there's like a whole 15 seconds of him looking at where the TV was, looking at footprints on the floor, looking at the broken window, and just keeps going like that for a while. And he's like, I just figured something out, Beavis. This sucks. I don't know. For some reason, that fucking kills me. I want to see it again. Do I have it? I don't think I have it. We've watched it so many goddamn times. But, yeah. Okay, let's take 1 or 2 more. Worst thing you ever found on the internet? Dude, why? Why would you ask that? Okay, let's see. What can I think of that might have been the worst thing? This is going to be more of a story than it is. Does anyone remember Goatsy? Goatsy was one of the oldest freakout sites that I remember. Not a screamer, but one of the first schmuck bait things I remember happening on the internet, like before YouTube. And what Goatsy was... No, it's not a question of how it's not a story about how I discovered Goatsy, but there is a funny story about it that I want to tell you. Goatsy was a close-up of a man digging 8 of his fingers into his asshole and expanding it. Remember, this was many years before shit like Blue Waffle or Lemon Party. Don't look that up. That was a really famous one for a while. And so that's one thing. Now here's the story I was gonna tell. Let's end it on that, actually. Because the next question is about YouTube's copyright system, and my answer to that is basically... when I was in 10th grade, this would be... Shit, man, that's a long time ago. This would be like 12, 15... Shit, how long ago? Man, like 13 years. Alright. When I was in 10th grade, I took what we in Denmark call a year at efterskole, which is basically a boarding school that you can choose to go to for 1 year at 10th or 9th grade. So I was there. So that means I lived on campus, I had a roommate, and every weekend there was like an activity. All the students were split up into groups that had one teacher attached to that group, and every weekend one group would have to stay in school and plan an activity for everyone who wasn't visiting family. Those activities varied very much. It could be like a movie night, it could be going to play laser tag in town, all sorts of crazy shit. So one of those weekends, somebody planned to do a children's birthday party. So we would get like cake and red sausages and go for a treasure hunt and all that silly shit. So that was the theme. We had to arrange a children's birthday party, and everyone who was staying back had to give the people arranging this presents. And it was just bullshit, like homemade crap. Just random shit. I like drew a goofy bird with an afro on one side of a paper, and then like drew the top of a present on the other side with a little thing called Turn Me. So On the day of this, I'm going up to the computer room. Remember, this wasn't like 2005. There was a dedicated computer room. And up there, I find one of my classmates at the printer. And he's like, he spots me and he's like, "Oh, great. Could you help me out? I need some shit laminated." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And then he hands me the thing that he wants laminated. And it's Goatsy printed on a piece of paper. Just blown up as much as the paper it possibly can. Like, oh! And it turns out he's done the same thing as me. On the other side of the paper, there's like the top of a present with the words "turn me," and when you turn it, you just get Goatsy. So I was like, "You're on your own with that one, buddy." So he printed a bunch of these and made sure to put them on the bottom of each pile of presents for each of the other classmates that were arranging this. So when we got to the dining room, there were like 10 seats with 10 piles of presents, and some of them were like rocks and shit. So you just see 10 people going through all the crap they got, make it to the bottom of the pile, and I have never seen anything funnier than 10 people who simultaneously turned a piece of paper around and all got to see printed Goatsy. The screech of panic that spread in that dining room in that moment is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. It was hysterical. Everybody freaked. Most of these people didn't know what this thing was. Oh my god. And one of the people who got this, who was one of the gift receivers, was actually a friend of mine. So when we went out for a treasure hunt, after he freaked out especially over this. He thought it was the grossest thing he'd ever seen, and it was, believe me. So before we snuck out for the treasure hunt, I took one of the laminated pictures and put it under my coat. And as we were outside looking for treasure hunts shit, I would throw it at him at random times and watch him freak out. Oh, I was an asshole at I must have been 15, 16 at that time. Some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. A lot of funny shit happened that year, man. It was crazy. But that's definitely one of the best ones. The only thing that beats that one was when some of my friends stole my bathroom door. Crap, now I have to tell that one too. Okay, you know what? Last story. This is also from that year. And this is a much shorter one. Basically, I've already told the point of it. My friend stole my bathroom door. Because the rooms we lived in were fucking tiny. They were maybe 12 square meters or something. It was just a bunk bed, a desk that had room for 2 computers, and a closet behind that, and then a bathroom. You know, I'm trying to visualize the room for you. If this, how the fuck do I visualize this? Let's say this DVD cover is my room. You walk in here, the bunk beds are here. Can you see this at all? You walk in here, the desks are here, the closet is here, the bunk beds are here, and here's the bathroom. So there's only this spot to move in. And in the week before we all had to go home and the year was over and nobody was caring about class anymore, I just went to my room one day. And I went to take a piss. Didn't think about it much. And then I sat down on my computer and I shook off the screensaver. And what greeted me was a Word document written in Comic Sans with the biggest letters possible. And all it said was, "Guess what we stole." And I was like, oh shit. And they actually signed it. They signed it specifically which one of my friends did it and where they lived so I could come get it afterwards. But but I'm like, fuck, what did they steal? And I'm going through my room, the shelves, no, they haven't stolen anything. Nothing in the bed. Remember, this was a tiny room. There was nowhere they could have gone. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. I don't remember closing the door when I took that piss. And I looked. And my bathroom had no door. They'd stolen my bathroom door somehow. And I hadn't even noticed, even though I had actually got out there and taken a piss. You couldn't see anything going on in the bathrooms from outside, by the way. So, I went to get it, and when I got there, they had a much bigger room than mine for some reason. I think it was in like an old building. When I got there, they were just like, "Hi, dude." And they had 7 bathroom doors in there, just in a pile. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, that was definitely one of the... I haven't been one for pranks or being pranked. It hasn't happened much. But that is definitely the best goddamn prank I have ever been the victim of. Stealing my goddamn toilet door. How the fuck did they do that? I mean, I wasn't in there while they did it, of course, but just somehow. They walked away with it. Oh, man. Oh, I see someone just joined at the tail end of the stream. I'm sorry. But yes, I can say that eventually more PK stuff will come. I'm sorry. I'm glad you really like them. I'm glad you do. I was very nervous about doing those because it's such an obscure franchise, but it seems to be one of my most popular videos. Anyway, I have been yammering for almost 3 hours. I'm exhausted. I am so flattered that so many people came. Honestly, you have no idea. I thought it would be like 5 people at most at any point. So this is so cool. I hope I've been entertaining. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you got the answers to the questions you wanted. And that's gonna be it for now. 5,000 subs. Hopefully it doesn't take another 5 years to get to the next 5,000, but we'll see what happens, and I'll just keep doing my thing. So thank you so much. I'm gonna go rest my jaw now, because it is telling me it's time to stop. See you some other time, guys. More videos are coming. And thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.